My name's Rich Hayden. I own Virtual Reality Racing Club. We're here at Goodwood Festival of Speed. I'm here with Purple Sector Performance, which is a race driver training, all levels, club championship, all the way up to Le Mans level. What we do is we help them out with race simulation and driver coaching, and we do that using our SimRace Pro simulators, which you see behind me. They're really high-level simulation, and we use virtual reality to make sure that the immersion for the driver is as best as it could be, and giving them the accuracy to be able to follow the right lines and be as accurate with their driving style as they can be. One of the things we use with that is the HTC Vive Pro headset with a real high resolution. It's fantastic for driver training. It's the only way to drive a racing simulator. The average speed improvement or time improvement for a driver, a pro driver, going from screens to VR, is minimum is 1 second a lap, and the average is anywhere between 1.5 and 2 seconds per lap.
Burton. Dornell bounces there. Dornell goes into the back of Harrison, doesn't get Dismont, and he throws the car in. Harrison wins. Palmer second, Dornell third. Got a car on the grass, there's several cars on. Vicentillos getting tagged and he's out of the race, and off on the grass. Harrison takes the win. It's going to be Dornell's championship by my mathematics.
Hello, good morning, and a very warm welcome to our final round, sadly, of the official Mini Challenge E-Series with Virtual Reality Racing Club. Richard John Neal here, presiding over the Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch. What a venue we've got. Joining me, welcome back, Anthony Williams. Nice to have you back with us.
Hello, Richard. Yes, nice to be back. Really looking forward to it.
It's been a stunning series, so my hat's off to you and everybody involved in putting this together and having the faith to do it. It's been a wonderful 8 weeks. We've enjoyed every single race of every single round that we've had, and we were a little bit worried it was all going to be sewn up at Knockhill last time out, but it wasn't. It has all gone to the last round, which from a TV production standpoint is absolutely spot on. And both championships, both the sim overall and of course the real world drivers, have got to have their decisions made today, and they will be over the course of the 4 races which we are looking at. So here's a little graphic showing you, if you needed a reminder of the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, just under 2.5 miles of iconic tarmac, which the drivers are going out on today. I know they've all been practicing hard over the course of the week, maybe some of them a little bit before that as well, to go out with a flourish. The championships, very close indeed. We'll look at the points shortly. Here's confirmation we're at 8 of 8 rounds, and real world racing, of course, getting underway again up and down the country, and a mini challenge, of course, will be first weekend of August, where we'll be at Donington Park, which we're looking forward to. Here's the timetable for today, which I guess you might be familiar with, but if you are joining us for the first time, it's great to have your company. Thanks for joining us. And effectively 2 halves to the programme. A double header, qualifying 1 kicking off at 12 noon, any minute now, and then we've got race 1 at 12:30, race 2, reverse grid race, or partially reverse grid race at 1 p.m. Then a little break, we've got a video for you of one of our top championship drivers, and then we get into qualifying 2 at 1:45, 2:15 race 2, fastest off the front, race 3 fastest off the front, and race 4, the partially reverse grid, again at 2:45. So that's the way the day, barring any problems, will round out. A quick look back to last weekend at Knockhill, qualifying 1, Dave Marshall, the machine, was fastest, edging towards the championship crown. Couldn't quite sew it up last week. Callum Newsham was on form, he was second quickest to Matt Richards, third in qualifying, and the machine grabbed race 1. Jack McIntyre out-qualified him for Q2, Jordan Brennan, and then Dave Marshall in third. Jack McIntyre taking the win from the machine, Jordan Brennan in third place, another career podium for him. Ryan Elliott winning race 2, which means the championship standings look like this. Dave Marshall with 168 points, clearance over Jack McIntyre in second. Tobin Lee is third from Ryan Elliott. And in terms of the real world standings, Max Coates with a 77-point lead over Josh Martin, who is our interviewee during the lunch breaks. Make sure you stay tuned for that. Isaac Smith third, 30 points behind Josh, and then Rob Butler in 4th position, and Alex Toth-Jones, who again is being substituted this weekend by Senna Proctor, who we already seen having a little bit of a moment in free practice, which I guess is the time to do it. So Alex Toth-Jones may well lose 5th position, probably will lose 5th position in the real world driver standings, to Max Bird, who runs 6th at the moment, ahead of Callum Newsham, who's only 8 points behind him, and then Luke Kidsley. So there's an awful lot to play for to get into the top 5, and also get into the very significant prize fund, which is £25,000 worth of prizes over the course of over the 2 classes that we have, including the top sim driver will get a race for real in mini challenge in a Cooper class race weekend with driver coaching, which is an absolutely incredible prize. The real world best driver will get a Virtual Reality Racing Club sim package, which you can see on screen now, and that is one heck of a prize. So all the drivers I've spoken to really do want that. That's why they're in this, and so many drivers said when we found out about this, found out about the prize fund, we had to enter it. And prize is so good, and the best that we've seen in sim racing over the over this troublesome real world season that we've had. Second position in the real world standings will get some 12 simulator sessions with Virtual Reality Racing Club. There's prizes of Goodyear tyres, motorsport vouchers courtesy of OBP, HTC Vive Cosmoth Elite, a VR headset for the sim racers, some testing as well with coaching, and a drive at the Silverstone race car experience as well. Superb prizes right the way across the board, not just for your top 3 but the top 4 drivers in each of the classes. Very pleased to say we've got a hot lap of the GT circuit, which has been done by James Merrill. So thank you, James. We're going to let you sit back and enjoy this before we crack on with qualifying.
Hi, I'm James Merrills, driving the number 88 Merrills Motorsports car, and this is a lap of Brands Hatch GP, one of my favourite circuits. So, to start off with, you want to get a good run out of the last corner and carry the speed across the line. Hard braking into the famous Paddock Hill bend, get it rotated, and try not to run wide on the exit. Touch that gravel there on the left, and your lap's just gone out the window. Now, Druids. Brake under the bridge and prioritise the exit. Use third gear and a late apex to carry the exit speed down towards Graham Hill Bend and get the car on the right hand side as soon as you can. We are usually allowed to use the geomesh on the exit, so carry the speed through the apex and use all the space you can. This next one is Kidney Bend, and it's one of the most important corners on the track because it precedes this very long straight, so take a super late apex into that corner and make sure you carry as much speed as you can all the way down Pilgrim's Drop right here. Coming up to Hawthorns now, where you'll see some overtaking in the race. Just turn in after the last braking marker on the left, carry the speed through the apex, don't run wide, and then onto Westfield. A little bit sharper and a little bit slower than Hawthorns this one. Take a liberal amount of curb on the inside, and remember there is some geomesh there on the exit if you need to use it. One of my all-time favourites now, Dingledell. Again, a liberal amount of curb on the inside, but try not to use an excessive amount of track on the exit in qualifying. Fourth gear through Stirlings, really easy to run wide here, so try not to do that. Stirlings does have quite a bit of positive camber as well, so bear that in mind when you're going through there. It's pretty easy here to mess up on the brakes, but prioritise the exit through clearways and then carry all that speed across the line to finish your lap. I'm James Merrills, driver of the number 88 Merrills Motorsports car. Thanks for watching.
So qualifying is underway at the moment. Very early doors. We've got Max Bird at the top of the stack. We saw a different complexion to qualifying last weekend, with the pole position times going in quite late on in the session. I think we might see something different. That's really, I guess, peculiar to Knockhill Circuit, which we saw last weekend. But really good to see Max Bird running well. We're looking at another Max at the moment, Max Coates, in his 71 machine. Had a successful real-world test in the week, I gather.
Yeah, he certainly did. I mean, there was the usual suspects were the ones that were looking like they were right at the top of the timing sheets, although we didn't actually have any official timing sheets, but the sort of unofficial ones. So I think Antwort Niels, Max Coates, they seem to be pretty much up there, and then Dan Zelos, Nathan Harrison, Max Bird, and a few others sort of in the next group really. I mean, it was wet all day pretty much, so not necessarily going to be representative of what we see once the season starts.
At the start of COVID, I know several drivers jumped straight away to have a go at sim racing, and I think Antwort Niels was one of those, but I'm surprised we didn't see him in this, and I'm not sure why we didn't. Whether he hasn't got the setup to do it, but he definitely was doing some sim racing. It would have been interesting to see how he would have got on here.
Definitely, I totally agree with you. Maybe there's an opportunity to try and get some of those front-running mini challenge drivers to do a little guest race all together in the sim world at some point during the season, or maybe at the end of the season.
Yeah, fantastic idea. That would be really good.
Definitely. But no, it was a really good day, and the Cooper class as well, which is where Dave Marshall, if he wins the championship, which is obviously looking like he may well do, will be racing with us. And they were great, and there was a really good turnout for both classes, but particularly the Cooper class. In fact, actually, it looks like we're going to have a bigger grid in the Cooper class than we would have had if we'd started the season at the normal time.
Well, that's good and absolutely incredible, and hats off to you guys for putting together a package which is really attracting the drivers. You know, what is a very awkward time for everybody. It's awkward for drivers trying to get budgets. It's awkward for, you know, companies who, you know, potentially laying off people or trying to get them back to work with reduced income. So it's just amazing that you've got such a, you know, you've got a good product. That's why people are coming back to it, which is the key thing. But it is difficult for people, isn't it, at the moment? I know some companies won't want to put money into racing if they're furloughing staff or then having to, you know, cut back and things like that. So tricky times for everybody, but it looks like we're going to see some great racing in the real world. And just run us through what the test was. Was it new rubber that you were all testing out?
No, but it's we call it the Goodyear tyre test, and the intention was to follow on from the touring car test the previous 2 days, so that really reinforcing that connection between the Mini Challenge and touring cars, and trying to position, as it genuinely is, the Mini Challenge as the primary feeder now to the British Touring Car Championship. But no, there was no specific changes to the rubber other than the fact that it's the Goodyear tyres. But people have had options to test those over the last few weeks, and indeed earlier in the year before everything got locked down. So it wasn't new to them. But nevertheless, the whole event was sponsored by Goodyear, and obviously we thank them for that support, and indeed the continued support that we have from them as a championship.
Excellent, and they've put some into the prize fund for this, haven't they? The two Goodyear tyres, third place in the real
yes,
world.
Indeed.
Drivers. So a big thanks to them. There is Ryan Elliott, who just that one blip in terms of one round where he didn't grab a podium, which was Croft. And when we spoke to him at Knockhill after winning race 3 at Knockhill, he was a little bit peeved not to have been on the podium at Croft, but he was only one place away from it. So he's had a top 4 in every single round thus far. Ryan, one of the youngsters that we've got to know during our interviews as well over the course of the season, which has been good. Hopefully helped the profile of these youngsters, but looking to try and get some budget to have a go as he goes past the 18 car, which is Senna Proctor. Senna, once again, congratulations to MSL Motorsport Consultancy. Thanks to them for helping us out with this championship, being marketing partners. And Alex Toth Jones, the regular MSL driver, is away in his Porsche Cayman this weekend. The second weekend out for him. But MSL, super job getting Senna Proctor in, and well done to Senna for putting his reputation on the line and coming sim racing with us last week. Drove very well indeed, got some good results. Senna Proctor in the 18 car had 2 top 10s out of 3. I think was bundled out of the third race, if I remember correctly, but very quick, as you'd expect from the Proctor family. As we look at Tobin Lee, Tobin third in the championship for both the overall and the sim races, 127 points down on Jack McIntyre. And
okay,
well, this is great news.
So I'm just going to interrupt you, RJ.
Okay.
Everyone can hear me on the stream. Hi, I'm Mike. I'm normally in the background broadcasting, but we've got a few messages for you, Richard.
For me?
So, listen on. Yeah, here we go.
Hi Richard, just wanted to say thank you very much for all your work on the Mini Challenge E-Series. Your commentary has really added to the entertainment, so we really appreciate it. And there's a few other people that would like to say thank you too.
Thank you!
Hi Richard, many thanks for taking part in the Mini Challenge E-Series. Mike here, by the way. Great working with you, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again soon.
Hi Richard, Silent Assassin here. Thanks to you and the team for all the great commentary this season, and maybe a few less thanks for the nickname.
Hello Richard, big thank you from all of us at OX4 Racing here at Plant Oxford.
Hi Richard, thank you for all the hard work you put in this season.
Hi Richard, thank you for commentating the Mini Challenge E-Series. You did an amazing job.
Hi Richard, thank you.
Hi Richard, thanks for everything you've done for us all this season and by donating money to help protect our NHS.
From a very rainy Snetterton, thank you Richard.
Hi Richard, James here. We all just want to say a massive thanks for everything you've done for the E-Series so far, not to mention your great gesture towards the NHS. So here's to you Richard. Cheers.
Hi Richard,
Thanks for everything you've done in the series. You're a true gent.
Hi Richard, thanks for everything. It's been much appreciated.
Hi Richard, thanks for all your hard work this season.
Hi Richard, just a big thank you for everything you've done throughout the E-Series.
Hey Richard, I just wanted to say a big thank you from everybody at Lux Motorsport for all your help this season, mate. Really appreciated. Done a mega job.
Thank you Richard for all your hard work.
Thank you Rich. Thank you Rich. Thank you Rich.
For doing that, and that's an awful lot of effort to do that, so really appreciate it. And just, you know, the amount of work that not me but everybody else has done to put this show on the road, you know, it's Anthony, Max, you know, Rich and Mike have worked so hard on it, so, you know, thank you guys, and that's really sweet of you to do that. Really much appreciated. Thank you so much.
You've done a great job, Richard.
Well, that's really kind of you, thank you. I've loved it. It's been really good. If you'd have said to me at the start of this, would I have got involved in sim racing, it would have, you know, been something that I'd have had a look at. But I'm just so delighted that Max asked me to get involved, and what a super team. And the great thing is, you know, I've got this feeling that we're all going to work together in the future as well. So it's been about building new relationships, which is superb. So, you know, really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, Richard, you know, one of the things we were really keen to do in this series was to try and make that connection between the real world and the sim stronger than it perhaps has been in the past, and indeed that's the intention going forward. We're looking at lots of ideas for using the sim racing series and indeed other sim activity to connect with the real world series, and of course when our sim racing championship winner races with us later in the year, you know, probably at one of the TOCA rounds, there'll be an opportunity for us to really publicise sim racing via the real world series, which will hopefully generate even more interest for the sim racing in the mini challenge.
Yeah, let's hope that my colleagues at ITV embrace this and manage to get some time to have our winner featured, even if it's in the MS UK programme, but it deserves to be in the live programme, so hopefully we will get that up and running. We've got featured drivers again today. Senna Proctor's one of our featured drivers, as we should do, of course. The youngster from Driffield, and he's in the MSL Motorsports Consultancy car, as we said, replacing Alex Todd-Jones for the last 2 rounds. Alex, having real tarmac experience last weekend and indeed this weekend, had a spectacular unveiling of his car in the week. He's got a very iconic Porsche livery on his car, so I'll let you go away and have a look on the internet after racing is complete today, of course, to check out his livery. But it also gives us someone to follow in that championship, Porsche Cayman Series, for this year. And they'll be supporting the British touring cars at times as well. But there is 6 foot Senna Proctor, as we called him, in juniors when he was about 14, and goodness only knows how tall he is now, going up into Druids, where it is Sen at the moment. He's in 15th position. Brands Hatch Indy, the round where I mentioned last weekend, he finished top point scorer in the Ginetta Junior Championship, the year that Jamie Caroline won it. Jamie getting it by the fact that he won more races than Senna Proctor. Well, they were tied on points at the end of the year, those two. What a year they had. And Sen now, of course, racing in touring cars. Outright pole at the minute, though, is with Jack Mack. So Jack doing that. It's been between Dave Marshall and Jack McIntyre over the course of the season. But Rob Butler snuck a pole at Croft. So we did have someone else jumping in. We've had this guy winning 2 races as well in the championship, Luke Kitsley, in the Lux Motorsport car. So Luke, one of our featured drivers for this weekend as well. So keep your eyes open for Luke, who I think we missed last weekend. So you look where Luke is at the moment, 14th on the timing screen, 6/10 down as we watch our Bajan driver nipping past him. That is Damien Hall. It's interesting that Damien was one of our early interviewees. I was saying, Anthony, that he's had a huge number of hits on the YouTube channel watching Damien's interview, so it's been good to get the message out about mini challenge racing and the E-Series racing out in the world, out in the wider world, and I think he's done a fair bit to promote it. But at the moment he's being chased by Luke Kitsley, who's looking for a 3rd win of the campaign, and at the moment down in 14th. It could be another reverse grid victory if he can pull one off this weekend.
There's definitely been a good selection of different drivers getting some great results. I mean, clearly there's been a couple of the guys, as you've already mentioned, Dave Marshall and Jack McIntyre, seem to have been consistently there or thereabouts. But it's nice to see other people nibbling at their heels and now and again nicking some good results, particularly with those reverse grids.
Absolutely right. We've had 14 different podium finishes in this championship, and that's only so far. We've got another weekend where that could change as we watch Max Bird. Really good to see Max getting a decent run here. P3, he has, and this is probably going to maybe rankle his followers and they'll get fed up with me saying it, but he just hasn't had any decent luck, really. I mean, he was due to take a front row position in race 2 last weekend, and we had some problems, server problems, which meant he couldn't actually get that race, and we were hoping to see Max up on the podium. His best result so far, a 4th at Snet. He is without doubt someone who's got podium pace. We know that because he's running 3rd on the grid and he's top real world driver at the moment. Ryan Elliott down in 4th. Max Coates qualifying well today in 5th place. Jordan Brennan. Jordan in 6th. Then it's Josh Martin in 7th place, currently in the pits, as you can see from the P graphic there. And then Callum Newsham from Matt Richards and Tobin Lee in 10th position. So championship-wise, have a quick look at the clock, 3:20 to go. Championship-wise, it is Dave Marshall with a 168-point lead at the moment over Jack McIntyre. And after race 1 today, there will be 168 points left. So if the machine, Marshall, outscores or even scores the same amount of points over first qualifying and first race as Jack McIntyre, then he will wrap up the championship as we watch Matt Richards in the number 4 machine, currently 6 in the Sim Racers championship. So we are going to be keeping our eye on the points, but Jack McIntyre here is basically doing what he needs to do to take the championship decision onto race 2. A little bit of a wide moment there for Matt Richards. Now, in terms of the real world class, we've got Max Coates 77 points ahead of Josh Martin, which means with 56 points per race plus another 6 for the qualifying session, we're really looking at the real world championship, if Max outscores everybody, really going down to the 3rd race of the day. So we will try and keep you up to date with the points as we go through. There is our interviewee a little bit later on. Josh Martin, really good to catch up with all these youngsters in the interviews that we've done. And you start to get, as a commentator, you read the drivers' biographies that they send through via the championship coordinators, but they only really start to make sense when you actually have the conversation with the drivers. And doing the interviews, they've been sending through videos and pictures as well to help paint the interviews, as you'll see a little bit later on. And it means that we get to know the drivers a lot better. And it's fascinating to have heard Josh's story. Multiple kart champion. He was actually too modest to mention it in the interview. If you watch the interview at lunch break, you'll see that he doesn't talk about the championships he won. I actually had to put it in as a graphic, as a text graphic, to say, this guy's won all these championships. So very modest youngster, and we got to chat about his dad who raced as well. If you want to see what his dad raced, then please tune into the interview. But what a superb job he's done, and looking forward to coming back and racing with the Coopers again this year, Anthony.
Yeah, certainly that's the plan. I've been speaking to them. It's not absolutely certain that they're going to make it on the grid, but I really do hope they do. There's a nice family, and clearly Josh has done very well in the E-Series in the JCW class cars. But it would be great to see him back out again for sure.
And he was saying that him and his dad built the car together, so it's not even proprietary. It just shows that a lad and dad can get together, engineer a car, and get it out on the grid, and do well, because he was in his first season on pole position at the last round of the year.
Yeah, there was a last-minute entry last year, and I suspect if he's going to do it this year, it will be the same. But the Mini Challenge Cooper class particularly definitely allows people to run cars themselves without necessarily having to go to the expense of running with a team. And in the past, certainly privateers have won the championship many times. And indeed, actually, that's even been the case in the JCW class. Last year, James Gornall effectively ran the car himself with his dad, and they won the championship. So it certainly can be done. It's not only for professional teams.
That's good to hear, isn't it? It's the very essence, particularly for me, of motor racing, my interest in circuit racing going back quite a few years now, as we watch the 35 car. Simon Reed, I don't think we've had as a Focus driver at all. over the course of it. Yes, we did, didn't we? Earlier on in the year, we did have a quick chat with him. He's the guy who works in the Mini Factory at Oxford and has raced in the MSVR Track Day Championship. So my apologies, Simon. Yes, we have had a chat with you earlier on in the year. The thing I haven't got is my list of drivers that we did have featured. But Max Coates has been through and made sure that we tried to feature everybody at least once over the course of the season, either as a feature driver or interview. He's coming into pits, but there is our provisional pole man at the moment, Jack McIntyre. So, Jack, here, the way things stand at the moment, and it is very much at the moment, because Dave Marshall is still capable of popping in a late lap as the clock is now down to 0. McIntyre takes 6 points away from Dave Marshall, and that means that the gap will come down to 162 points. So if McIntyre finishes ahead of Marshall in this race, it will come down to the reverse grid race. After race 2 is 118 points available. So you do kind of have to be a little bit of a mathematician to be a commentator, and maths was never my strong point. My son's just gone through his mock GCSEs, and thankfully I managed to avoid the maths one. He's been doing them at home, but we managed to get away with that. So Q1, Jack Mack will be on pole position with Dave Marshall in 2nd, Jordan Brennan lines up in 3rd, then Callum Newsham, the 2 teammates. As soon as we get Anthony back, the 2 teammates are together, which is good to see. Then it's Josh Martin in 5th place. 6th position on the grid is Max Bird. 7th is Ryan Elliott. And then Luke Kidsley in 8th place. 9th goes to Max Coates. And in 10th position is Matt Richards. So that gives us our grid, first 5 rows of our grid ready for our first race today. And just have a quick look who's in the waiting room, whether we've got our pole position driver down there yet. No, we haven't as yet, but they will make their way into our virtual Parc Ferme so that we can have a chat with Jack McIntyre, pole position man. I think Jack McIntyre is there. So Jack, congratulations on taking pole, and if you can outscore Dave Marshall in this run, it will take the championship further into this meeting.
Cheers. Yeah, I mean, he's got quite the lead, so I'm going to need a bit of good luck, but just got to do everything I can to score as many points, and then, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Tell us about Brands GP. How does it rate with the other circuits for you?
I love Brands GP. It's one of my favourite tracks. Really fast. You have to be really precise on entries, and there's a little bit of leeway through a few corners to take different lines, so the racing is really good as well. So, yeah, really enjoying Brands so far.
Well, that's good. How many hours practice in the week?
Did a bunch last night. There was quite a few of us on till the early hours, so a little bit tired this morning, but quite a few laps, so maybe 70 or 80 laps last night.
And Dave Marshall qualifying on the front row with you, so it is a battle to be had, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. I think Dave's got a little bit more pace than that. He's maybe had some issues in quali with other cars or something. So, yeah, chuffed to get the pole, but I think every pole I've got in front of Dave, he's been past me on the first lap. So we'll see what happens.
It's your turn to beat him then, in that case.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just if you could let him know.
We will do. I'm sure he's probably listening in, actually. So good luck for the race. Jack McIntyre, a pole position man. Only 3 drivers have had pole position this year. Dave Marshall, Jack McIntyre getting a fair bunch of them, and as we mentioned, Rob Butler grabbing some as well. Our featured drivers, let's have a word with Senna Proctor, who's in the waiting room as well. Senna, great to have you racing, standing in for Alex Toth-Jones. How are you all, and how's the family?
Yeah, good, thanks, Richard. Yeah, we had a not so good qualifying then, but it was a little bit of traffic and the usual racing driver excuses, but basically I didn't do a good enough job, and yeah, going to put it right in the race, hopefully get in the top 10 and see what we can do.
Mum and Dad all right, and Grandad?
Yeah, everyone's good. Yeah, a bit bored with lockdown, but now it's over. Everyone, the world seems to be getting back to normal again a little bit, and yeah, just steady away and me doing lots of sim racing.
How did you get invited by MSL to stand in for ATJ?
So well, I'm a supported driver doing the E-Series, touring car E-Series with MSL Motorsport Consultancy. So once he was busy with the Porsches, they called me up for the Minis, and I jumped to the opportunity as well. Absolutely fantastic. It's great to have you on board, and you know, putting your reputation on the line. You certainly didn't disgrace yourself last weekend with the first time out in the Minis, but I'm guessing it's different to the Touring Car Championship. Yeah, it is actually. I'm really enjoying the Minis. They're a great challenge, and I understand the
the craze about them in real life now. They feel very similar to a touring car, and they're a great stepping stone for anyone to get into a BTCC car.
That's a nice line, mate, and I shall use that one when we're commentating the real at Donington Park, which we're looking for. Looking forward to seeing everybody again, getting out real world drive. Thanks for chatting to us, mate, and good luck for the race. We'll
no
catch
problem.
On the podium.
Thank you very much. Hopefully.
Thank you, Senna. Senna Proctor qualified 15th. Now, he sounded disappointed with that, but bear in mind that Rob Butler, who was one of our other pole setters earlier in the year, he's one place ahead of him. It shows how very competitive things are as we look forward to our first race of the weekend. And that's absolutely key. We've had 7 different winners, 14 different podium finishes over the course of the season. And, you know, OK, Dave Marshall might be able to wrap it up in the first race. Jack McIntyre could possibly, it's going to be race 2, I think, before he secures second ahead of Tobin Lee. But it is, Anthony, it's very, very competitive.
Seeing how many cars were packed into just a few tenths per second, and particularly around this circuit, which really does differentiate drivers to be that close. It really is exceptional.
Got a minute to go before the first of our final 4 races of this inaugural Mini Challenge E-Series with Virtual Reality Racing Club, and there will be more racing in the future, which is good to know. Pole position going to Jack McIntyre, the silent assassin, with Dave the Machine Marshall alongside. Row 2, it's the 2 Newsham nutters, Jordan Brennan and Callum Newsham. So those 2 tied together, as they have been for a lot of the year, which is good to see. It's also good to see all the cars on the grid, and we are getting ready for the first of 4 races here, Brands Hatch GP, as we traditionally wrap up our season here on the longer circuit. We are actually having it's the second token meeting this year at Brands Hatch. The lights are going on now. Out go the lights, and we are Mini Challenge UK E-Series racing. It's a good start by Jack McIntyre, who gets a wide line into Paddock Hill Bend. Looking around the outside line is Dave Marshall in the 66 car, with Jordan Brennan challenging him hard as they go into Druids for the first time. Jordan with the Union Jack at the top of his car, currently in 3rd place. We've got the Union flag as well on the 37 car out front. That was a very good start by Jack McIntyre, but runs wide. I don't think we've got the track limits here for that particular part, because it's going to be too difficult to act on judicials over. As we look at Jordan Brennan putting Dave Marshall under pressure. I'll tell you what, that was a very good, orderly start by the entire field. I think when we said that before, things went pear-shaped on lap 2, but we'll see as they head up towards Hawthorns for the first time. Pilgrim's Drop up to Hawthorns, and super start then. And getting away here is Jack McIntyre.
Yeah, that's a great start from Jackie. The prediction that he had in the interview hasn't come true, and actually he's just off and running, and let's hope that he continues that, because it'll keep the championship alive.
It will. We're going to have to keep our eyes on that points position in terms of the fastest lap as well between those 2. You'll have to have eyes everywhere actually over the course of these races for the Real World Championship drivers as well. But at the moment, Jack McIntyre doing enough to take the championship, decided to race 2 of the day, as Jordan Brennan is putting big pressure here on Dave Marshall. Jordan, as you will know from the interviews, is considerably less experienced in sim racing, but experienced now, and we ride on board with him. Lovely piece of direction there to get the pictures from Jordan's car as we bottom out the bottom of Halewoods, up Halewoods Hill into Druids. Jordan able to take a slightly wider line, not really feeling too much pressure at the moment in that 3rd place, and putting Dave Marshall under pressure. This is unusual actually to have Marshall under pressure in a race 1. Wondering if he's feeling a little bit of pressure about maybe sewing up the championship as they go along Cooper Straight for the second time of asking of this 20-minute race. Jordan again taking a nice wide line. Good shot of the Northcott logo there. I'm sure Dave Newsham and the team are all busy watching and cheering him on, and indeed Callum Newsham, who's down in 6th place at the moment. Behind Jordan Brennan is Josh Martin running in 4th, so Josh doing a lot to try and close in on Max Coates, and certainly taking a few points out of Max Coates at the moment. He's in the green car, just goes through shot. Max Coates goes through. There is Luke Kitsley in the number 8, and challenging Luke Kitsley, running real well here at Brands Hatch, is Damien Hall in the 246 car. So Hall on the inside line, the Bajan going through, And then we've got Isaac Smith nipping through as well. Isaac Smith in the dark blue 123 car is the man challenging Josh Martin and Max Coates for that the Real World Drivers points challenge, as we watch Ryan Elliott in the number 2 getting stuck in as well. And Callum Newsham goes down the inside line and winds up completely off lock and will lose ground there, but Callum was gunning for it. I think he might have pulled it back. He does, so a good save by Callum Newsham, but now finds himself down in 9th place.
That looked like that was going to happen, didn't it? There was a gaggle of drivers and cars all together, and it looked like some action might have occurred, and of course it did.
Well, Dave Marshall has secured the fastest lap as Tobin Lee barges his way past Matt Richards. Max Coates coming through as well. It is good to see Damien Hall well up in the top 10. Damien had a top 10 at Donington Park and another one at Silverstone International, so we know he has top 10 pace, and he'll be looking maybe for a reverse grid pole position here, if nothing else. At the moment running in 9th place, he'll be up at the sharp end. But going back to the fastest lap, on the first flying lap, Dave Marshall does it, so pulls the 6 points back that he lost to Jack McIntyre in qualifying. But there'll be another 6 points at the moment for McIntyre over Marshall, taking first to second, as Damien Hall in 246 has a good look. He's got another 3-digit car behind him with Isaac Smith, the Fiesta champion, having a good nibble as well. Talking of Fiesta drivers, there's an exciting announcement. See that we've got Ryan Falconbridge coming into the Real World JCW Championship. We've got another Fiesta graduate.
Yeah, and Ryan's a really nice lad, and he was there at Snetterton at the tyre test earlier this week, and produced some solid lap times there as well, so he looked like he was enjoying himself. But we have got still a great grid that we're going to be looking forward to in just a couple of weeks' time when we start our season at Donington.
It's going to be a quality grid, it really is. We were talking about it before we went live today. We've got such a great set of driving talent, whether it's existing drivers that we know have performed well in Mini Challenge, or drivers like Ryan Falconbridge, Isaac Smith, reigning Fiesta champion, looking to move up from that VRSCC formula. Real talented drivers. It's just going to be a superb campaign for sure. There in the mix is Tom Williams in 19, having a battle with Max Bird. Max lost a little bit of ground in this one. There's James Merrills in the 88 car, gave us our exploratory demonstrative lap earlier on, as Tom O'Farrell is busy chasing James Merrills up the inside line, which converts to the outside now. Is another ex-Fiesta driver, which is, just trying to think, it might have been racking my brains actually as to whether this was the first circuit that I saw the Fiesta driver race on. I think it was, and through they come with, just check fastest lap again. Well, fastest lap now is back with Jack McIntyre. So McIntyre gets the fastest lap, and I think that was Theo Bridgman who just had the moment there. Theo, the driver I was pontificating about whether this was Brands was the first track that I saw him racing in the VRCC Fiesta Championship. Has a moment. He's down at the minute in 17th place. So Jack McIntyre, the silent assassin, he's doing it again here. Pole position, fastest lap once he gets settled in. Dave Marshall still in 2nd place. Jordan Brennan in 3rd, busy looking for another podium. Jordan now will be thinking that podiums may be starting to feel a little bit old as he collects them, and he'll want to get a race win. But he is still in with a shot of a decent result here. Josh Martin, the top Real World driver here, and we'll start to reel in Max Coates. Max down in 10th on 25, Josh Martin 4th on 37. So taking 12 points at the moment out of Max Coates. Max with a 77-point lead. So that's still relatively safe, but it might potentially push the Real World Championship onto race 4 today. So we'll try and keep our eyes on the mathematics for you as we continue on and ride with Callum Newsham, 8th position, chasing Matt Richards. Looks at the inside line now, so Newsham piling the pressure on. Good smooth stuff from him as we come through Dingle and into Sheen Curve. Used to be Dingle corner, but then they head down into Stirlings, which is where they are now, and then head back down towards Clearways, this iconic tarmac. One of the great things about Brands Hatch GP, if you're a spectator, is that you can spend the day watching from various vantage points, including a good walk around the whole circuit. What I tend to do if I'm spectating on Brands Hatch GP is walk the circuit during qualifying and then watch most of the action on the Indy circuit, which is where you can see most of the action most of the time. Although of course you lose the cars going off into the country, which is why I tend to do the GP loop in qualifying. That's a handy hint for you if you are going to come along. If you haven't been to Brands, I thoroughly recommend it. It's a super day out, as Matt Richards still coming under pressure from the Northcote Vending Machine, coming out of Druids with Isaac Smith in 9th place. This is significant for Isaac. He's going to be losing a few points here to Josh Martin. He's only 19 points behind Josh coming into this one, so he's going to be a battle over the course of the races. But what Isaac might be thinking here is that if he finishes 9th or 10th, he'll be off the front in race 2, and there's a bigger points advantage getting 1st, 2nd or 3rd than there is on the number of points going down for the other places. So it's going to be fascinating to see whether that will come into play, and Isaac will be able to close in on Josh Martin in the 2nd race of the day. There is Josh coming under a little bit of pressure now from Ryan Elliott. Ryan closing in. Still change of fastest lap again. They're trading them like the goodness knows what at the moment. Marshall now goes fastest again on lap 6, 1:34.516. So Marshall 1.7 seconds behind Jack McIntyre. Jordan Brennan still in P3, as you can see from the timing screen. 1.6 seconds down on Dave Marshall. So this is not over by any stretch of the imagination. And Ryan Elliott, probably the closest significant battle on track at the moment. Ryan Elliott in 5th place, closing in on Real World Cooper racer Josh Martin. There is the 89 car. Josh will be keen to try and get the 89 machine up onto the podium. He's had a quartet of 4th position, so hasn't had a podium there. Has been deserving of one for sure, but coming under pressure from Ryan Elliott, who seems to be on the podium most times that we have a visit anywhere. And a good race between these two youngsters. Both teenagers, these two drivers, and this is shaping up to be a nice battle. It's still McIntyre out front, Marshall with the fastest lap, so the points will go back to 168 points, and then McIntyre takes another 6 out, so it goes back to 162. So he's going to go potentially moment to race 2. This is the view back from Callum Newsham, and Isaac Smith has a look down the inside. These two are going to be doing it for real in just a couple of weeks' time at Donington Park, and Isaac Smith looks on the inside line. Max Coates coming up to join in as well. Now where will Coates go? Will he follow Newsham on the wider outside line? I think he's now trying to get into Isaac Smith. You can see Isaac, now he's got his mirrors full of the Yorkshireman, has to go a little bit defensive, and that scuppers the attack to some extent on the 8th place man Callum Newsham. Now Coates is having a look at the outside line. They're coming down into Clearways here. Coates on the outside. In the real world, this runoff area here has been greatly extended this year. It does make me laugh when MSV do all these things to improve the circuit safety, and then spectators know that there's a bit of grass missing that they can't stand on anymore. But it's all for safety, and MSV doing a super job in whatever they do at the tracks, just to try and improve things. And of course, if there's more of a run-off area, there we get less stoppages, so it can improve the overall show. As Max now really having got Isaac Smith. These two have actually been tied together fairly well in this virtual championship on several occasions this year. And Isaac with the upper hand at the moment in 9th place. Max in 10th will be starting, because we're in the second half of the race, starting to think about provisional pole, as will Damien Hall in 11th place, Rob Butler 12th, Max Bird in 13th from Tom Williams, Luke Kidsley 15th, Keir McConnelly is 16th from Theo Bridgman Williams, Simon Reed, James Merrills, Kenny Press, Tom O'Farrell, Craig Timmins in 22nd. Fastest lap still with Dave Marshall. That seems to have settled down at the moment, so it's not seesawing anymore, but Marshall will probably be looking for race 2, the reverse grid race, where he'll find himself on row 5 if things stay the way they are, as Max Coates continues to put the pressure on. A quick look back to Tom Williams dicing here with Luke Kisley for 13th place. TKM Economy in the lime green machine as well. Williams putting some good pressure on here. And to put this in perspective, you have to remember that Luke Kinsley is a double race winner here. Tom Williams having a good go, gets his nose down the inside line. Tom Williams' best result so far in the championship is 7th position, and that's a classic Brands Hatch pass, teeing him up. No, he can't quite do it. I spoke too soon there. The Simply Race 19 car can't quite do it, but he's putting Luke Kinsley, who's a multiple champion in the real world, under a lot of pressure. So this is a good race. It's bringing Max Bird into the mix as well. That's what I love about this racing. Equal cars, equal machinery. And as soon as you get embroiled in a battle, it brings other people into the mix. So there's never a dull moment.
Richard, I've been watching lots of the other racing whilst I've not been commentating, and certainly there's been plenty of close racing, and it really does replicate what we see on real racetracks around the UK in a normal race season. Dave Marshall's just starting to put a little bit of a charge in. Well, he's still certainly got time to do it. I noticed earlier on he got within sort of 5 or 6 tenths of Jack, but then suddenly dropped back nearly a second to sort of 1.5 seconds, but now seems to be just putting the pressure on again, perhaps just for a last-minute charge.
Yeah, he won't give up, will he? And the one thing we know about Dave Marshall is, although we call him the machine, which might have connotations of you know, thinking about things and not doing any more than necessary, he's a little bit more than that. And I know for a fact from the interviews that we've had with him that he would dearly love to wrap up the championship with that win. So he's not going to let Jack McIntyre get away with this, and he knows that the championship's going to go at the moment to race 2, but if he can close in, the gap only 1.2 seconds, as you say, with 5 minutes to go, it could all still change. Jordan Brenton's still there in 3rd, relatively safe at the moment from Josh Martin, who has half a second over Ryan Elliott. Tobin Lee down in 6th, Matt Richards 7th, then Callum Newsham, Isaac Smith 9th, and Max Coates on provisional pole at the moment for race 2. Just out of shot there is Isaac in the black and blue 1-2-3 car, still chasing Callum Newsham, so hoping to have another nibble at Callum if he can. Max Bird meanwhile chasing Luke Kinsley, and wherever you look there are some super battles going on. The Bluebird developments car has been in a little bit of a scuffle, as we can see from the tyre marks on the side of the car, so Max Bird as ever getting stuck in. Tom Williams just dropped away from that little battle at the moment in 15th. Kia Economy will be the next car to follow him through in lime green. Kia coming under pressure from Theo Bridgman Williams in 17th place. And Max Bird starting to get the Bluebird Developments car into a little bit of a challenge. I think Max running with Elite this year, so that was their first, I'm guessing that was their first appearance at the tyre test as a fully fledged team.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, alongside Max Bird as well, so they're going to be a strong pairing. I think, sorry, Max Coates as well. So the two Maxes together I think will be a strong pairing, and certainly Max Bird has been, I think, quicker towards the end of last year, and indeed the testing this year, than he perhaps had been previously, so I'm expecting to see him quite close to the front. I've noticed again that his mother Sarah's watching. I think disappointed to see Max drop down a few places earlier on in this race, but looks like he's certainly fighting back now.
He's having a go, and Elite being, I think, a Norfolk-based team, and they've got Lewis Gaylor, who's the 3rd driver in the team, so he's got some good experience around him. Some really good drivers that Elite have done. Elite having won several Ginetta championships, in fact being reigning champions in both Ginetta Junior and GT4 Super Cup from last year. I think the first team to actually do that, to do double in juniors, so no slouches, Ed and the boys. Really good to have them on Mini Challenge this year. It's just going to add to the mix even more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were really hoping that a couple of the Clio teams would come across, and in fact, at one point hoping that Team Pyro, obviously multiple Clio winners, would come across, but unfortunately they haven't. But of course, that might change next season.
That would be good to see those guys make the move. But as we now look to Matt Richards' 7th position, and busy challenging Tobin Lee. Tobin's been a regular winner in the racing as well. Matt Richards, who unfortunately lost a round, so his championship position a little bit distorted from the fact that he lost the Silverstone International round due to some technical problems with his internet, which I think dropped away, so couldn't get out to play for that round, and lost a little bit of ground, did Matt Richards, but still 6th in the Simlads Championship, as it were. 101 points down at the moment on Jordan Brennan, so not impossible for him to get up into 5th position at this meeting. But Jordan Brennan outscoring him in this race at the moment. A quick check on fastest lap, still with Dave Marshall. So Jack McIntyre will have equal points in this one if things stay the way they are to Dave Marshall. It means the championship gap will stay at 162 points as Max Bird finds himself under big pressure now, having done some good work to make passes, and has got Luke Kidsley right behind him. Tom Williams, though, well, he did have Luke Kidsley behind him. Tom Williams nips down the inside line, makes the position. Williams up into 14th place. Max Bird trying to close down on Rob Butler, who I think he's probably going to be saying this is another frustrating day for him. Rob, you can see away in the distance there, the white car with the blue trim. Took pole position in the first session at Croft. I think Croft was the Croft and Silverstone National, the only rounds where Dave Marshall didn't bag a pole. Other than that, he's really been stamping his authority on things now. As Williams comes under pressure, Luke Kidsley trying to get back at him, and this is giving a little bit of a breather now to Max Bird in 13th place, but Max has not got the opportunity at the moment to fight for pole, which is a pity. He can't close down on Rob Butler. It's still McIntyre and Marshall out front. Jordan Brennan third, 3.9 seconds down on Dave Marshall, 1.2 clear of Josh Martin, with Ryan Elliott 1.4 seconds down on him in 5th place at the moment. So let's just have a think about the Real World Championship. Max Coates losing a few points at the moment to Josh Martin. So Josh consolidating 2nd in the Real World Drivers' Championship. Isaac Smith is ahead of Max Coates, so there'll be, where is Isaac? 9th position, 9th and 10th. He's only a point, so Isaac falls 1 point back on Max Coates, but he is 49 points down on him in the championship, so Max won't be overly concerned about that if he does the sums after this race. So important to have a look at that and just see how we're going, but very definitely I think we're heading towards race 3, maybe for seeing the Real World Drivers' Championship sewn up as we continue to watch this fascinating battle between Tom Williams and Luke Kidsley. Luke, double race winner, will be looking to do so again today, but he's not going to do it in race 2 because this is 14th and 15th position. The clock has run down, so we will have one more lap to go at the end of this one as Max Bird goes through shot in 13th place. Jack McIntyre still in front, on board with Max Coates, 10th place. He's got a gap of 3 seconds now over Damien Hall, so Max will be, barring any big problems, off the front of the grid for race 2. Isaac Smith is the man that he's chasing now into Stirling's Bend. Somewhat sadly, the first time that I've called a race through Stirling's Bend since Sir Stirling's passing a couple of months ago, which is a shame, and sort of gives a new resonance to that corner, really, as Max now looks to the outside line, coming along the Bravham Straight down into Paddock Hill Bend. Max on the outside line, maybe a little bit too wide to go for a cutback here, and indeed sticks to the outside line, still chasing Isaac Smith as we are on the final lap, and Max trying absolutely everything that he can. He knows that Isaac Smith is one of his main rivals for the Real World Championship. He knows he's got a little bit of a cushion, but he wants to get as many points as possible, and it will be damage limitation as far as Josh Martin is concerned, because Josh Martin's scoring much better points at the moment in this one and closing in on Max in the 71 machine points-wise. So all to play for those guys, but it's still Jack McIntyre and Dave Marshall out front. Our inset picture shows you the race leader, who's done a super job here, hasn't managed to bag the fastest lap. It does mean that the championship, which I think many of us were expecting to be sewn up in race number 1, is not going to be so. I do have to add a note of caution to my mathematics, but I think that is the case, that we are going to head to race 2 before things get sewn up. But a great drive here by Jack McIntyre, 1.7 seconds clear of Dave Marshall. Jordan Brennan, another good drive from him, in 3rd place as through Clark Curve and down towards the checkered flag comes Jack McIntyre, the silent assassin, takes the win, and congratulations to him. Pole to checkered flag. Oh, and contact between Max Coates and Isaac Smith as they come through the last corner, and Coates sneaks through into 9th position. That might be looked at, I suspect, by Andy Ringland as they cross the line, but it was Jack McIntyre from Dave Marshall, Jordan Brennan in 3rd place, then Josh Martin across the line in 4th position, Ryan Elliott is 5th. 6th position goes to Tobin Lee. 7th was Matt Richards. And then they were followed by Callum Newsham, takes 8th place. 9th position goes to Max Coates, so he will be on the front row of our second race. And pole position goes to the man in 10th place, which was Isaac Smith. So, Anthony, interesting race, and managing to do what he said he hadn't done thus far in the race. We have a quick look at Kenny Preston, the number 5 car, Kenny in 20th position. Minute chasing Simon Reed. It was a good move there a good race by Jack McIntyre to take the win, and he's broken his duck of being beaten away from pole position by Dave Marshall.
Yeah, I think Jack really had that under control pretty much from turn 1, and he made a really good break right at the start of the race and managed to build nearly a second gap within a lap. And then there seemed to be a stage where Dave Marshall was putting the pressure on, as I mentioned earlier on, and then suddenly dropped back a bit. So I can only assume that Dave must have made a little bit of a mistake, which is really unusual for the machine to do that. And then there was another bit of pressure put on towards the sort of latter third of the race from Dave. But ultimately, I think Jack had an answer for everything that time. And as he said, not what he was expecting based on prior experience, but perhaps Jack's just turned a little bit of a corner.
Yeah, it's good to see. So a cracking race for him as we look at the 35 car Simon Reed coming through now. And of course we have our virtual podium, a virtual parc fermé here on track. And we're going to start off by chatting to 3rd place man. Steady drive there, another podium though, which is the significant thing for the Liqui Moly Norscot vending machine of Jordan Brennan. Jordan, well done.
Thank you.
Good race?
Yeah, it was alright.
I got
a really good start alongside Dave, but I just wanted to stay behind him because I knew he was a lot quicker than me, and I just slowly dropped off the back of him, and then I could see Martin catching me, but managed to keep it all together.
4th podium for you, and you know, if we look at the trend of your results, it's gone up and up and up, and you'd probably like to have a few more weeks in the championship. If you can't grab a win today, it's certainly going to be on the cards.
I don't think it'll be today. I've not really done a lot of practice for this, so to be where I am now, I'm happy, but we'll see.
How's this going to make you feel when we get to real world racing? Because I'm guessing you'll be in and around the paddock in a couple of weeks' time at Donington Park, and is that going to leave you with itchy feet, not racing?
Of course it would. I'd love to be doing it, but we'll see.
Well done on 3rd place. Good to see you back on a 4th podium for you of the season. Jordan Brennan, well done. Let's have a word with the 2nd place driver, Dave the Machine Marshall. Dave, well done on P2. Championship's going to go to race 2.
Yeah, one lap down, 3 to go away. Yeah, I'm not going to lie, I'm doing the maths every race.
Right.
It's damage limitation. Just focus on keeping the car clean and keeping it on the track. And you know, I'm quite happy to let Jack run away in 1st place there, because I don't know, he'll probably say the same, but we got about halfway through the race and the front left tyre just dropped off completely.
Right.
You know, I wasn't expecting it, so literally managed to get the fast lap in, and I think it was 2 laps after that, and it was, you know, you were struggling at the lap within 3/10 of that lap time. So yeah, it's just going to be watching the tyres for next race, I think.
I think the points get 162 if I've read the situation correctly, because you did get fastest lap in that one. So
yeah, 162 points I'm on, and then I think there's 174 remaining or something. So
yeah, so it's nearly there. So race 2, and myself and Anthony here have been chatting about, you know, the Mini Cooper drive, which could still go, of course, to Jack McIntyre, but the odds are on you at the moment. So well done on P2 and fastest lap in that one, and we'll see you for race 2.
Cheers. Thanks, Richard.
Thanks, Dave. And the Silent Assassin, he's done it. He's beaten Dave Marshall from pole position. Well done, Jack McIntyre. Cracking race. Well done.
Cheers, thanks. Yeah, that's a good race. Kind of the perfect start, apart from the fastest lap, which Dave nicked. But yeah, really good start. I think I've just done all the points as well, and all of those numbers add up. So it's looking very unlikely now, apart from some sort of crazy supernatural happenings. But oh well. Just do what I can. There's still a points gap back to Tobin in 3rd, so I need to maintain that. So it's not going to be all flat out from me. Still everything to play for.
I think the story really is that, you know, based on what we'd seen earlier on in the season, most people would have expected Dave Marshall to have wrapped it up in the first race, but you've actually taken the battle back to him this weekend, and okay, it's a mountain to climb, but the fact is you have taken it to another race, so well done.
Yeah, I think kind of the second half of the season's been a lot better for me in terms of pace. I think the results have been reasonably similar to the first half, but I feel like I've got a lot more chances to be on Dave's pace and to be racing against him and to be beating him as well. So that's gone good. Hopefully, if we get another season of this, then maybe things will go different next time. But yeah, really chuffed with first. Just got to keep going, see what I can do.
Oh, well done! Congratulations on the win. Was that win number 4, I think, of the season for you?
Yeah, I got my first round win last week, which was great. Managed to steal at least one trophy off Dave. Probably have to build a new extension on his house to fit all his bloody trophies in. But yeah, hopefully get another one this week.
Nice one, well done, Jack. Congratulations again on the win.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Jack McIntyre, race winner. Second position, Dave Marshall, champion elect. So he's got a 162-point lead. There are now, after race 2, only 118 points on the table. So that's how close we are to wrapping things up there. In terms of the Real World Championship, I'm going to have to do some sums at some point, but we saw Josh Martin take 4th position, which was 37 points. Max Coates finished in 9th, which was 26. Isaac Smith was 10th with 25. So Josh Martin took 11 points out of Max Coates. So the gap between the two now is 66. 66 points between those two, and Isaac Smith is let's see, Martin is, I'll have to work out the difference between those two when we get a little bit of a breather, but 66 points the difference between Max Coates and Josh Martin. If that's replicated in all the races, it won't be enough for Josh to grab the lead, but he will continue to close down. But bear in mind, Max Coates is going to be on the front row of the grid for race 2. Let's go back, having done our podium interviews though, to Anthony Williams. Anthony, did we get a final decision of driver of the race for that one?
That's an interesting point. I mean, I was really intrigued by everything that was going on, and really focused on those sort of championship standings. I think Josh Martin obviously did a really sterling job in the Real World Championship to help close that gap a little bit and keep his championship hopes alive. So I think he's probably somebody that we ought to be thinking about. Jack McIntyre for dominating really the race and managing to again keep the championship alive up there in first place in the race overall. But I think possibly Josh Martin. He's a really young driver, someone who's currently, or last year was racing in the Cooper class. This year, hopefully racing in the Cooper class again. So I think probably Josh Martin.
He'll be pleased with that. Thank you for that. Very well reasoned, and I agree with that. And he's actually taken the lead that he has over third place man Isaac Smith in the championship over to 42 points. So I've managed to do the sums there. So Max has got a 66-point lead over Josh. Josh is now 42 points clear of Isaac Smith, second position. So not looking too bad. That's very nearly a race in hand, 42 points. So he could, he's possibly going to hang on to that. And second position is the Sim Sessions, 12 simulator sessions. So it's really good prizes to be had. Third place, 2 Goodyear tyres. And in of course, we mentioned the sim races, we'll be getting a VR headset for second position in the championship, and the Mini Challenge Cooper class race weekend with driver coaching for the winner of that class. As we look forward to our second race of the weekend, Isaac Smith and Max Coates. Fascinating battle. What was your take, Anthony, on the move that Max did to nip down the inside line? Bit forceful. Is that going to be an Andy Ringland job, do we think?
I would have thought it's going to get looked at. Yeah, I mean, it was a bit forceful. Not sure it was necessarily something which I would penalise. Ultimately, we're all looking for close racing and hard racing, and he was inside, perhaps just a little optimistic. But we'll see. Andy will have a good look at it, I'm sure.
Yeah, it didn't fire him off, so that was
exactly.
Was key. So the cars are on the grid, ready for the reverse grid. The first of our 2 partially reverse grid races here on Brands Hatch GP. Isaac Smith and Max Coates are going to resume battle. This is going to be fascinating because they've been together a lot of the time over the course of the season. Behind them, we've got Matt Richards. Callum Newsham lines up third on the grid. Matt Richards to the outside of row 2. Row 3, Tobin Lee and Ryan Elliott. Row 4, Josh Martin and then Jordan Brennan. And then the machine is next up as we get underway here very, very quickly indeed. Super start by Isaac Smith. So Smith into lead position, and Callum Newsham up into P2. Max Coates third, coming under a little bit of pressure from Matt Richards. Ryan Elliott around the outside line of Tobin Lee. Josh Martin follows them, but Isaac Smith made a super start from pole position. Textbook Brands Hatch start for him. And Max Coates under pressure from Matt Richards. A bit of rally crossing there for Tobin Lee going across the grass. Going that far out, you're not gaining that much of an advantage. So although that would be track limits in the real world, I think that's why probably the Clark not enforcing anything on that particular corner here. So a good start to our second race, and again, very well behaved, Anthony.
That's a really good start. I mean, yeah, they're all close together, but they're still managing to keep pretty much out of each other's way, which is fantastic. Let's hope that happens when we get to our real world racing as well. I suspect possibly not, but fingers crossed.
Dave Marshall up ahead at the moment of Jack McIntyre. His aim here, I don't think he's going to be to win this race. He has won one reverse grid race, which was Snetterton, where he was. That was what a weekend that was. 3 race wins, first 3. But he will want to beat Jack McIntyre to wrap the championship up. So that's what he's going to be looking to do. Jordan Brennan in 10th at the moment. We had a quick look at there in the 98 car, and there is Josh Martin in 8th place, busy chasing Dave Marshall as the positions change a fair bit there on the timing screen. Unlike TSL, they change in real time as wherever they pass on track, whereas the TSL real commentary world, you tend to get the updates at the end of each of the laps as the 37 car looks up the inside line. So McIntyre makes the move, passes Marshall. Jordan Brennan's going to try and go through in the 98 car as well. Inside converts to outside as they go through Graham Hill Bend. Following them is Rob Butler in 10th place, so Rob looking a little bit sharper in this one. Luke Kidsley will be following him as well, and on board with Jordan Brennan. Looks up the inside line of Josh Martin now as they come through into Surtees, but there's a run now as they go onto the Grand Prix loop, and you can see so Josh Martin knew what he was doing there and had that outside run and a little bit of momentum to come down Pilgrim's Drop, then uphill into Hawthorns, which is where they are now. Jordan Brennan teeing up a look on the inside line, can't quite do enough to get through. So out of Westfield and down into Dingle-Dell. So Brennan chasing hard, 8th position for him at the moment. And now out front we've had a change. We've got Callum Newsham.
Yeah, Isaac's just tumbled down the order. I saw him off on the side of the circuit. I think there must have been some contact. And the Newsham Brennan team seems to be getting the loudest support on our social media channels. So make sure you keep those comments coming, especially with Callum up there in first place at the moment.
Yeah, so Callum Newsham with Max Coates right behind him now. So Max, who was down in 3rd or 4th after the first couple of corners, suddenly finds himself right up at the sharp end. So both of these drivers have not had a win thus far. It's going to be fascinating to see whether we do get another first-time winner in our last round of the year. So Callum Newsham, who has been getting better and better and better at sim racing, and he's making big improvements as well in his real-world driving too. But don't discount Matt Richards, who's there in blue in 3rd place, chasing hard. Then Dave Marshall up to 4th. It's not inconceivable here that Dave Marshall could take the championship title with a win. What a story that would be. Doesn't need to do anything in this race other than finish. All he's got to do in this race is to wrap up the championship, but we know that Dave Marshall will be keen to try and take a podium, if not a win, and he's within 1 place of grabbing a podium at the moment. So we watch Max Coates in T2, Callum Newsham next up. I haven't even looked at who's got the fastest lap. No prizes for guessing who it is. It's the man in 4th place. The Machine Marshall is still there.
It's been great to hear the nicknames continuing, and yeah, again, look, Dave is really piling on the pressure with his. I assume it's his teammate actually. The liveries are the same, aren't they? So really piling on the pressure.
They are piling on the pressure at the moment, as you say. And now, will there be team orders? Is Matt Richards going to look in his mirrors and think, yeah, let's get Dave up to the sharp end to wrap the I doubt if there will be. It would probably be a different scenario in the real world that conversations would be had. There's actually more time to have the conversations in the real world because you generally have 2 or 3 hours at least between races, so there might have been chance to have. That was Matt Richards! Thought he's going to lose momentum here. I think, here we go, the machine's going to nip up the inside line and grab that 3rd place. That definitely wasn't team orders, was it?
Well, unless he was a very confident driver with his car control to make it look like it wasn't team orders, but just about to make the pass, to allow the pass to happen.
So Dave Marshall up into third position. It's Newsham, Coates and Marshall 1, 2 and 3. Well, you know, either way here, if it goes any way out of the top 4 drivers taking a win, we've got a story, because if Max Coates wins, it'll be a first win in the championship for him. Same with Callum Newsham, the current leader. If Dave Marshall wins, it will be Dave winning the reverse grid race from the 5th row of the grid and wrapping up the championship. If Matt Richards wins the race, currently in 4th position, it'll be his first win in the championship as well. His previous best being 2nd place Silverstone National, which was our 3rd event of the calendar. So either way, and it could go to someone outside the top 4. I'm not discounting anybody else, but we have got the story, whatever happens with the top 4. But Callum Newsham holding on at the moment, 3 tenths down. Max Coates beginning to close in.
Indeed he is. There's only a couple of tenths gap there, but there's also only a couple of tenths gap for Jack McIntyre, and oh, actually that's slightly changed. He's just dropped back a touch behind Richards, so Matt Richards. So yeah, it's still looking very exciting.
Good stuff as they come across the line again. Callum Newsham, we're on board with the race leader coming into Paddock Hill Bend, and Max Coates is having a look here. Max just teeing up the 71 car. He will want to try and pass Callum Newsham before Dave Marshall gets too heavily involved in challenging him, and it might be too late. Coates having a look. Marshall is now challenging for P2. So Matt Richards right behind him. Tobin Lee could well join in here as well. If the top 4 get embroiled, it could bring, well, not only Tobin Lee, but Jack Mack, the silent assassin, in 6th position in the mix as well. Luke Kinston's having a good run here. He's up into 7th place. Remember, he started outside the top 10. Josh Martin is in 8th. Josh is still ahead in this one of, just having a look to see where Isaac Smith, I can't see Isaac on the board. Isaac, I think, maybe had a problem earlier on, perhaps a drive through, wait and see what happened there as we watch the quartet again. And Max Coates having a look as they head into Westfield for the lead, but then Callum Newsham starts to get away, and now Jack McIntyre goes ahead of Toby Lee. McIntyre up into 5th. Don't think he's going to be able to keep the championship alive here, but he's working hard and come through from 10th on the grid as Dave Marshall has a look on the inside line of Max Coates. This is going to tee up Matt Richards in 4th place. Richards wants to get on the podium here. Fantastic racing between the lead quartet. In fact, it's 2 duos now. Callum clatters the curve, runs wide, loses momentum, and Max Coates is through.
I don't think there's any team orders between Marshall and Richards. They're definitely racing, and like you say, what a move from Max there.
Yeah, Callum just grabbed a bit of curb, didn't he, and it unsettled the car. Max Coates, that's going to be crucial for Max. Although, having said that, Dave Marshall now up into 2nd place, rounds the outside line of Callum Newsham, who doesn't look happy after that little dislodging. He was running very well in lead position up to that point. He's going to lose 3rd here as well, because Matt Richards has got the inside line into Graham Hill Bend. So the complexion of the lead quartet changes completely. Don't discount Callum though, because he will come back. He'll probably feel slightly less pressure being in 4th position. He might be able to mount an attack, but that's also what the driver behind him wants to do. Jack McIntyre trying to close in, Tobin Lee in 6th, so the complexion will change again, and we're not even at halfway stage yet.
What an exciting race this is. The 2 Simply Race teammates scything their way past the Callum Newsham car, but I mean, Dave Marshall now obviously putting a huge amount of pressure on Max Coates. It'll be interesting to see whether Max can sustain that pressure for very long.
So just to paint the picture, we've got both of the class championship leaders, P1 and P2, real world championship leader Max Coates and the top sim lad Dave Marshall battling with each other. Marshall, of course, with much more sim racing experience than Max Coates, and Marshall running off 9th on the grid here. And you know, a very modest driver is Dave Marshall. Remember when he took the reverse grid win, having won race 1 at Snetterton, and said, you know, he was lucky things opened up. And he'll probably say the same thing again, that the seas may be parted for him in the early stages of this race, but nonetheless, you've got to be there. You've got to have the pace to take those chances. He is battling for the win. What a story it would be if he could win the championship by taking a reverse grid race win here. Max equally wants to claw some points back from Josh Martin here. Josh running in 8th place. Max in 2nd on for 44, so 44 to 28 points. So Max will grab 16 points. He'll actually grab more than he lost now. It's Dave Marshall challenging up the inside line as they go into Surtees. Max Coates runs wide there, gets a little bit more momentum as they come out of Surtees and head off into the country here again. He's under pressure. It's a fascinating race to watch.
Oh, it certainly is incredible. I mean, Dave almost had it there, didn't he? But just not quite making that move stick. And but he's put absolutely piling the pressure on. And Max has got 10 minutes or so to continue to sustain this pressure, and it's going to be really tough for him.
Callum Newsham running well, still in fourth. I said that he wasn't going to be dropping away by any stretch of the imagination. And sure, we've got Jack McIntyre's come up to join in the party, but Callum, he's putting Matt Richards under pressure here. So although he lost the podium position, he's still very much in the race in the Northcott car, racing hard, he's attacking hard, but also defending as well. So he's in the most difficult position of those three drivers that are chasing. As we watch the leaders coming through Clark Curve once again, past the entrance to the pit, and Max will have another lap led on his career stats as he crosses the line now. Dave Marshall will know that he won't want to take any undue risks with 8 minutes 42 and 1 lap to go, but he's putting big pressure on here. He's super driving.
He is, but notice he's taking some liberties with track limits, and I'm not quite sure exactly how that's going to work out for him. But he's going to have to be careful, I think, because there's certainly a point there where, although we know that the track limits aren't being applied at the exit of Graham Hill Bend, elsewhere they may be, and certainly he was stretching the limits a couple of turns back.
Shame if he wins the championship with the drive-through, but we'll see. You get 3 strikes before you're out. That's the way that it plays out. This is where he was closer to Coates on the previous lap, so it might be a different tactic here for Dave Marshall, or it might be that Max is starting to suss him out. Maybe Dave's tyre is starting to wear a little bit as well. That outside front tyre that he said was causing a problem in the later stages of the first race might be causing an issue.
It was around about this sort of time in the race, actually. I think he was suggesting that was the case, so that will be, I'm sure, a factor in the end result.
Yeah, just as we say that, he starts to close up again. Still Max Coates, pile the pressure on. Jack back up to 4th now, ahead of Callum Newsham in 5th place. So Callum, again, still there with that groove, and perhaps not as much sim racing experience as those guys. So McIntyre now looking for a podium and chasing down the championship leader's teammate for 3rd place. That's closed in, so we did predict that the 5th position car might close in on the 4th, and that is exactly what's happened. With 7 minutes to go, Dave Marshall trying to size up Max Coates here and work out where he can grab that extra little bit of pace and maybe find a gap on the inside line, which he's starting to have a look at there. Again, a good, clean, speculative look from Dave Marshall. It's what we've seen from him all the way through the championship when he's been attacking. He's been so good at qualifying that in a lot of the races he hasn't had to attack another car, he's just attacked the circuit and put in the good laps to move away from the field. But when we've seen him trying to make places up, he's been clean, he's been meticulous, and he's been fast, and that's exactly what we're seeing him do here with Max Coates. I know Max has greatly enjoyed racing and practicing with Dave Marshall over the rounds that we've had.
I know, chatting with Max, I think he sees himself as a very seasoned, experienced driver, which of course he is, and particularly good at that defensive role. And it looks like here that perhaps he is just managing to create enough of a defensive line to slow or to stop Dave Marshall from making the move, but without slowing himself down too much. So it is interesting to see how these two are actually racing each other.
It's absolutely fascinating between the two of them. Just doing a quick maths check on Josh Martin, who is in the inset picture, and at the moment looking to, it will drop 16 points on Max Coates if they finish where they are. So Josh pulled a few points back on Max in race 1, but that will fall away again in this one. Having said that, I think Isaac Smith will, who is in 19th place, is going to lose quite a few points, so he's edging away from maybe being able to take the title from Max Coates in this meeting. So it's going to be Coates and Martin, but Coates with the advantage just now. Marshall looks up the inside line. There was a tantalising gap there, but Coates not playing it too defensively going into Druids. And I think Coates having a reasonable amount of confidence in his defence of this race lead at the moment, both from wide, not as wide as they have done in the past. And these two, although they're battling, the significant thing is they're actually maintaining the gap, possibly even developing the gap over Matt Richards and Jack McIntyre, probably because 3rd and 4th are dicing hard as well.
Yeah, it certainly looks like that's the case. And although clearly the idea that Jack might actually be able to join that top two is a little bit far-fetched, I wouldn't say it's absolutely impossible. We've still got over 5 minutes running, including the extra lap. So it's not impossible that if Jack could just get past Matt Richards, that he could then close up on the front runners and perhaps join that battle for the win.
And it will change the whole look and feel, won't it, of the battle for the lead as well. We saw Marshall take a much wider line going into Westfield, or actually it was into Hawthorns, and that gave him a little bit of a run up towards Westfield, which he couldn't capitalise on, but he's still all over the rear end of Max Coates' car for the race lead with 4 minutes to go. Down into Clearways they come now. This is Clark Curve, leads him onto the main straight, the Grabham straight here at Brands Hatch. And Dave Marshall working out what he can do. Is he going to take a wide line? No, he's not here. He's following Max Coates through into Paddock Hill Bend. Nice wide line in. This is not a challenge at the moment. He's going to go a little bit tighter here. If he'd taken a wider line in, he could have maybe gone for the cutback on the outside line, on the inside line rather, but he's exploring the outside into Druids and maybe thinking about getting a run down out of Druids, down Graham Hill. So you watch the battle for third on the inset as well. Jack McIntyre trying everything to nip past to get into a podium position, but Marshall and Coates, I think, closer than they were on the last lap. And Marshall going wide here. Is he going to have enough room? He's actually looking to go for the outside pass. Not going to work though, because Max Coates has got the line going into Surtees, now into the country once again. So the 71 car maintains the race lead with 3 minutes to go. Again, this could go any way, but Marshall looking threatening now. Again, takes the wide line as they come up towards Hawthorns once again. Is he going to take the wider line in? He's certainly a wide line out of it. That's what Anthony was saying about track limits. He's got to be careful that he doesn't do that too often. As they
certainly, the intensity of this battle is definitely mounting now, and actually, I think they might be starting to slow each other up a touch. The two behind Richards and McIntyre, I think, just edging up towards the back of Dave Richards, and not there yet, but it's not long before it's going to be a 4-car train instead of a couple of pairs.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It could even go 5 ways because Callum Newsham not that far away as well. Then Tobin Lee in 6th position, not that far behind Callum, and we've got 2 minutes on the clock. So this is actually setting us up for, it's been nail-biting all the way through the race, but we're going to have a nail-biting finish. And again, a wider line there, goes for the cutback, maybe a little bit too early, Dave Marshall, but having a go and still putting Max Coates under big pressure. Meanwhile, scrap on for 3rd place, and Jack McIntyre goes wide around the outside line of Matt Richards. He's in the wrong place there to do it unless he can get the grip in the VRRC car. Is he going to be able to do that? I think he has done it. Fair play.
Lovely
to
move
Jack
there from
McIntyre.
Jack
Super,
McIntyre.
yeah. Right the way around the outside line, and the Virtual Reality Racing Club car gets up into a podium position. Lovely move. One that we can back reference if he can stay on the podium. Meanwhile, 1st and 2nd still very much at it. Is Jack McIntyre going to be able to close in? It is still Dave Marshall with fastest lap in this one. The champion-elect would love to secure the championship with an outright win, and this is where he looks strong and closes up on Coates. Does a wide line here, tries to get extra momentum for Derek Minter straight where they are now. There's not actually that much straight there to be able to pop a move going into Westfield, but Marshall is all over the back of Coates at the moment, who you can see is being defensive as they go through Deepledale and G Curve.
And Jack McIntyre is already starting to eat into that gap pretty quickly. You can see there it's virtually a 4-car train now.
Yeah, this is exactly like real world mini challenge racing, and you're going to be seeing some of this for real once the 5-round championship gets underway. The Mini Coopers, of course, racing on the other touring car rounds as well. But look at this now. Marshall is having a look. He's on the outside line. Maybe he should have tried this earlier on. I don't think he's far enough up in terms of the... Now, this is where he could go for the cutback. On the inside line, we get a perfect view here from Jack McIntyre in 3rd place now. And Dave Marshall looking at the outside. Can he do what McIntyre did to Richards on the previous lap? He's got to close the doors. A little bit of not door handling, but body contact, kissing and cuddling between the 2 cars as Matt Richards wants to come back. It is 4. Jordan Brennan not able to break away and join the battle. Jordan Brennan, Callum Newsham involved in his own battle with the likes of Luke Kinsley and Josh Martin, so Martin might be able to scrabble a few points as well. 15 seconds.
I think that love tap Richard probably just saved Max Coates, to be honest. I think Dave Marshall would have been around the outside and then would have had a lovely opportunity to make a move down into Graham Hill Bend, but the contact between McIntyre and Marshall perhaps just saved Max Coates.
And none of it malicious, so that sort of thing, won't even bear close scrutiny, will it, for Andy Ringland? That is just very much close motor racing as Marshall went to the outside.
I wouldn't imagine so. I think they were just showing each other a little bit of love.
Tobin Lee getting stuck in and now trying to pass Callum Newsham, who's having to go defensive again big time for 5th place, and Josh Martin makes a move through on the inside line. Martin coming through, passes Luke Kinsley, so Josh Martin again keeping his outright real world championship hopes alive by grabbing another couple of points. So Martin up into 7th place now, which is potentially 30 points as the battle for the lead will cross the line onto the last lap, and it is 3 wide virtually as we go into Paddock Hill Ground with Matt Richards in the mix as well. Round the outside line goes Jack McIntyre, the silent assassin. He's going to take some of the glory away from Dave Marshall here, and he's got up into 2nd, and now he's going for the lead around the outside line of Max Coates. They're 3 wide as they come out of Druitt, and on the inside line as they come down into Graham Hill Bend, Coates still maintains the lead. Dave Marshall's on the outside line, Matt Richards coming up as well. Along Cooper Straight they go. I thought McIntyre was going to slay them there, the assassin that he is, and come through and grab the lead, but he's down in 3rd. And Dave Marshall challenging for the lead, but McIntyre's got the inside line at Surtees and Crab 2nd position back. So it's McIntyre now challenging Max Coates. Thrilling stuff again. Which way is it going to go? McIntyre knows that he likes the outside line. He seems to pick up grip, and he's going on the outside at Hawthorns. That generally doesn't work in the real world. Max out of that, and it's Max Coates still leading, Anthony.
Wow, what a few corners we've just had there. This is absolutely incredible. And Max is doing a really strong job here, isn't he? Just soaking up the pressure from both Dave Marshall and now from Jack McIntyre.
He is indeed, just a few corners to go. So Sterling's for the last time, and Jack McIntyre, you've got to say, Matt Richards is putting Dave Marshall under pressure. Marshall will be hoping to wrap up the championship with a podium, but are we going to see a first time Mini Challenge UK E-Series win for Max Coates?
He's going to do it.
It looks as if we are, as he comes through Clark Curve and heads down towards the checkered flag. Max Coates is going to take his first win in the championship. Jack McIntyre from 10th on the grid comes through for P2. 9th position on the grid was the starting place for Dave Marshall, who comes through for a podium in 3rd place and secures the championship. And congratulations to him. It's all provisional, of course, don't forget. But he's got such a big points lead. We're watching Callum Newsham in the 16 car, who was really involved and battled hard through the race and comes through in 8th position. But I'm going to catch my breath, do a little bit of sums, and I'm going to ask Anthony for your contenders for driver of the race, or to think about them anyway. We'll announce it after the podium.
Well, I mean, there's so many people that we could consider for it. You know, Dave Marshall from coming back from the back of the grid to 3rd place position. Same with Jack McIntyre towards the back of the grid coming to 2nd place. Max Coates for his defensive drive and managing to hold on throughout so much pressure. For it felt like an absolute age that he was there, just having to soak up the pressure from the guys behind. Earlier on in the race, as you said, Callum Newsham was running strongly in 1st place, and prior to that, Isaac Smith obviously had a fantastic start and was looking like he was going to put together a bit of a surprise victory, but of course his challenge ended much earlier on. I mean, overall for me, I think it's got to be Max, really. To get his first win of the season at this stage. Of course, he's been so instrumental in putting this together. It's really good to see him take his first win. So for me, it would be Max Coates, but perhaps Richard, you can give me your thoughts as well.
I think I'd have to agree with that. He was he did the right thing. He was down in 4th position earlier on as we watched Craig Timmins coming through. Took the chances, took the opportunities when they were there, but as you say, the defence there was absolutely spot on by Max Coates.
Yeah, and he managed to just keep the pace there. Halfway through the race, 3/4 of the way through the race, the gaps just weren't coming down.
We got the guys coming through. I mean, there were some good standout drives though. Elsewhere, Max Bird made it up into the top 10, so he raced hard. Josh Martin made it through into 6th place at the end, so he wasn't going to give up the ghost either way. But we're in our virtual Ferme now, and as you know, we changed tack sort of around about 1/3 of the way through the season to 3, 2, 1 on the podium, and therefore 3rd position. But by my reckoning, our champion. Many congratulations, Dave Marshall.
Oh, I haven't worked out yet. Is that right?
We've got the graphic saying you are, so many congratulations. Yeah.
The other race, I had the time during the race to try and work it out, but that race, as you probably saw, I was definitely not thinking about the championship that race. Fair play to Max. What a race that was. That's how you defend, isn't it? That's how you defend. I tried everything, and it hindered us. Jack came back at us and managed to get past me, but it wasn't worth trying to fight, that hard to get the position back. That had a smile on my face from about halfway through the race. That was fantastic. So that's what racing's about, isn't it?
Yeah, and to win a championship, to win that amazing prize after such a great fight with Max Coates. What are your thoughts?
That's going to take after the fourth race. I'll celebrate. It's just not going to sink in mid round. So. Yeah, we'll have a think about it in the next two races, and then I'm sure I'll be teased by race 4.
Well, Dave, I'm really looking forward to, and I sincerely hope that it's going to be one of the races that I get to call where you make your racing debut, and we've certainly got a story, coming with you into the real world racing. So many congratulations. We don't have to worry, do we, about scrutineering or anything like that? You can't cheat in this cars, can you?
No, my ride height standard, so we're all right there.
We're going to seal your pedals afterwards or something.
Oh, well, actually, ironically, Isaac had real bad pedal issue there.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, we came around the fast part of the section at the back, and I think he was in the front.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, his brake jammed on, and he did well to pull off. So fair play to Isaac for controlling that on the fly sort of thing. So. Oh,
thanks for that, Dave. Gives us an insight into what happened. So we appreciate that, because that's actually crucial to the podium positions in the Real World Drivers' Championships as well. Yeah. So Dave Marshall, 2020 Mini Challenge UK E-Series champion. Congratulations.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Anthony, as well, for setting all this up. It's fantastic, man.
Oh, you've done a great job, Dave. Congratulations.
Cheers, thanks.
Dave Marshall takes third position, but of course we're focused on what happened in the race as well. And in second position, what a drive. It was away from the lead quartet, but worked its way through after winning the first race of the day, and a superb second position and piling the pressure on Max Coates. Jack McIntyre, great drive, Jack. Well done on P2. You're going to be gutted, I think, that the VRC car didn't get up into P1, but that was a great race.
Cheers. Yeah, that was a really good race. Kind of being in the background for most of it, watching everyone fight in the front, and then getting a chance when I got past Richards to have a go at the podium, and sent it a little bit on Dave around the outside. I knew he wasn't going to put up too much of a fight. So yeah, really good race. Obviously, big congratulations to Dave. Really, really worthy winner. He's got the pace and all the consistency, and really deserves it. So chuffed for Dave. It's a shame I couldn't put up more of a fight and take the prize, but couldn't really gone to a better person.
Oh, you've done a super.
What a driver.
Great lads, well done, fellas. And Jack, I know you've had a go at Real World Scholarships as well, and presumably the fight to get onto the grid for real will continue.
Of course, yeah. I'll probably never give up. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I'll be trying for as long as I can.
Okay, and great drive again from 10th on the grid to come through for second position and put that pressure on. It was an amazing drive, so well done. And we've got 2 more races to go, so we look forward to chatting to you after quali and our other 2 races. Well done.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
And we said, we were focusing on what the story would be if we came out of the race with, a first-time winner, or whether it would be Dave Marshall wrapping up the championship with a win. But it was another first-time winner, an 8th different winner in the competition this season. I'm going to finally shut up and say, well done, Max Coates, our winner.
I've waited long enough, haven't I? So, yeah, to be honest, the early stages when Callum Newsham was just in front of me and Callum had a bit of a chat. We've actually had a chance to meet each other in person now. And I know he was so keen to get a race win. And in a way, I didn't really want to take that away from him. Yeah, no, I'm chuffed with that. And to be honest, to win it, to defend from Dave for like half the race and Jack on the last lap is definitely the way that I wanted to go about doing it.
Superb. And that was hard work though, wasn't
it? Yeah, it was. I saw Dave come in. I thought, oh, it's all right, I'll get a gap. And then I think I made a mistake and he was on me. And I looked at the clock with 10 minutes to go. And if I'm honest, most of this year I've kind of thought, if Dave catches me with 10 minutes to go, there's not a chance I'm holding him off for 10 minutes. And today I just thought, sod it, I've got to go for it. And yeah, managed to keep the pace up. And naturally Jack and Matt, who are, you know, very fast sim racers, weren't really catching us too much. So I was quite pleased that, you know, albeit, you know, as defending, we're still able to keep the pace.
I think your championship lead goes out to 78 points. That's my maths, not the official maths. So you've still got a little bit of work to do for that prize of the sim rig.
Yeah, I think one more race might be able to seal the deal. But to be fair, Josh Martin had a great first race. So yeah, it's definitely not over yet. There's still plenty to go, but I'll be trying to make it happen in the next one.
Josh was down in 9th at one point, and we were keeping an eye on him, and he snuck up to 6th at the end. I mean, he was still chipping away and going for it. So yeah, you have pulled a little bit more of a gap out. I think it's 1 point more so far you've scored on the meeting by my maths over Josh. So you've eked it out a little bit more work to do. Congratulations, Max! Super win. Great to have an 8th winner in the championship, and we'll see you for quali and race 3 a little bit later on.
Thank you very much. Just also a well done to Dave and Jack there. I think they've driven great, and yeah, having sat alongside both of them in various scholarships that they've entered, both would be very worthy winners of and getting on the real circuit. So yeah, excited to see what Dave can do now.
Nice one, well done, Max. Well said. And you guys get a little bit of a break now, which is good. Anthony, I concur with you. I'll go with Max as driver of the race there.
Yeah, ultimately the defensive drive that we just saw and was commented on by Dave Marshall and of course Max himself, it really did seem to me to be a worthy winner of driver of the day. Yeah, clearly it's not always all about pace. It's also about racecraft, and Max has got that in spades. So he's done a really good job.
Well done, Max. So we were in the interview with Max talking about the man who's still trying to challenge him for the real world class points win, and that is Josh Martin. We've got an interview with Josh coming up in our lunch break, so Anthony, Mike, Rich Hayden and myself are going to take a little bit of a breather, and we'll leave you in the company of, well, sadly me again, but with much more interesting company. It's Josh Martin. So have a look at the interview. We'll be back with you in around about 15 minutes for our second qualifying.
Hello and welcome along to what is very sadly our final Mini Challenge E-Series racing interview. But the good news is we've got the man who lies second in the real world standing with us, Josh Martin. Josh, great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, hi, it's great to be here. Yeah, looking forward to it.
So let's start with the E-Racing Series. What brought you into it?
I was doing the Alex Neville put one on for on the Xbox side of it, and I got an invite to that, and I was playing on that. And then this one got published, and I was quite interested in it in the start. And then when they released what the prizes would be, I had all the setup ready to go, so it was a no-brainer really to jump in and have a go.
And you're right up there in the prize fund, aren't you? Because you're second place. I think Max Coates is leading the real world standings as we go into the final weekend. So you're up for a good prize, if not the main prize, which obviously you'd be going for this weekend.
Yeah, Max is a little bit up the road, but nothing's impossible. He's still catchable, and I have Isaac quite close behind. So we're quite tight going into the last round. I have to get every point I can.
It's been great to watch the story unfold, and you've been so fast and so consistent. How much virtual racing had you done before this particular championship?
Up to this point, not a lot. I'd done that Xbox series, like I said, but that was on Forza, and that was a bit of a laugh, really. And really, I had the setup for practicing circuits before I went to them, and I had it for sim drifting with one of my mates who's really into that. So mainly I've only used it for playing with my mates on the online servers. I've never really done anything competitive on it before, but I've been quite enjoying it.
Well, you've done superbly. I guess racing must be in your blood. And what I wanted to do and what I have been doing on these chats is taking a step back, and a lot of our viewers don't know the background to some of the drivers. And we thought we'd just ask you, how first of all did you get into racing? We'll come on to the karting history and the successes you've had in karting, but where does the passion for motor racing come from? Is it just yourself or your family or what?
I've been brought up in quite a motorsport family. My dad used to race super bikes back in the 90s.
Right.
And all I wanted to do was motocross. And I got a little pit bike or a little motocross bike from my cousins. And I used to just ride it around the field we've got. And I was starting to get quite good on that. And that's all I wanted to do was motocross. I wanted to get into racing it. And in the end, my parents didn't let me because everyone they grew up with who did motocross got quite a lot of injuries. And I just I think I might have been watching the Formula One or something like that. And I just come across karting when we started looking into it. And I went up to Let's Go Karting in Shannington. And yeah, it all started from there.
Backpedaling a little bit to your dad, what level did he race at?
Just club level mainly. I think he was quite quick from what I've been told.
And what's his name, just so we can name check him in case anybody knows?
Dean Martin. Quite a famous name.
That's good. So then you went karting, and I'm going to go straight in. And you're a multiple Welsh champion in karting, so congratulations on that. And it gives you a real talent, doesn't it, to come into car racing? But tell us about your karting years, the steps through the levels.
Yeah, so I started off at Let's Go Karting, and my dad said if I could get under a certain time around Shannington, he'd get me my first car. And in the end, I got under that time. We went and bought a 2010 Project One. And I raced that chassis for 3 years. And that was the chassis I won the first Welsh Championship on. And yeah, we've always done it as a privateer, just me and Dad.
Yeah.
And yeah, I started off in Honda Cadets. Then I went into X30 and now Mini Challenge.
So straight from karts into a senior car formula. And we're seeing a lot of drivers doing that now. Mini Challenge seems to just attract people that jump from karting straight into the senior championship, which is what you did. And again, you did it very successfully. You had a great year, third in the AM category. And there was some real stiff competition in there because there were champions from other car sports in there. So tell us about your year.
It was a massive learning curve. Me and my dad, we built the car completely on our own. We had absolutely no idea what we were doing, to be fair, because he's never done anything like that. I've never done anything like that. And yeah, it's a massive learning curve, especially with the setup, how different, how much there is to set up on a car compared to a car.
Yeah.
But yeah, I learned a lot and he learned a lot. And by the end of the year, the final qualifying, we got pole. So we got it figured out by the end. But yeah, it was a really good fun season. We really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed watching you in it as well. And I've got to say, you know, for a first season, normally people talk about, oh, you know, do something for a couple of years. The first year you're going to be learning the tracks and then, you know, learning the car, and then you come back for the second year. But you were bang on it straight away, as proved by getting poles, getting a succession of podia and coming third in the championship. So what are your plans for this year car racing? We've got a little bit of car racing coming up by the looks of things. What are you going to be doing?
I want to be doing the Mini Challenge again. Cars all ready to go, but it just comes down to the sponsorship, and with the obviously current pandemic, it's a lot tougher on sponsors at the minute to be giving out the amount of money required to race.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope to be there, whether it'll be for the entire championship or just a couple of rounds, but I'll definitely be there.
How much of a difference will the change in specification make? Because the AM class now, it's all one, isn't it? Last year you ran on treaded tyres, so you've got you got more power this year and slick tyres?
Yeah, well, we built the car as a pro from the beginning, and the only difference for our car was the wing and the tyres we ran on. Right. So we didn't really have to change a lot to it, but we've taken it all apart, given it a complete refresh. And yeah, I've done most of the, up until the racing season, on all the track days, I was testing on slicks. So it's not too much of a jump.
Oh, that's good to know. And aside from Dad, have you had any driver coaching or anyone mentoring you on that side of things over your limited car career so far?
I've had no, not yet. I got selected, when would that have been? Start of last year for the Motorsport UK Squad Academy.
Yeah.
That's been really good. They've taught us quite a lot. But we were supposed to be having some simulated days and stuff this year, but obviously with all the COVID stuff, that hasn't happened. But yeah, I plan on getting some driver coaching, because the whole way through karting I've sort of just self-taught myself, and there's probably something which, if someone just pointed out, you're doing this wrong, and I've just been completely overlooking it, I think it could really help. So definitely looking to get some driver coaching this year.
It doesn't sound like you need any, to be honest, with what you've done. You've done absolutely superbly. And let's go back to the final reason. Obviously, we're here for the final round of the E-Series, and Brands Hatch GP, a little bit of a different configuration. Have you had any chance to test on that particular configuration this week?
Yeah, I've been online a little bit. I've not done as many laps as I normally have done by this point in the week. But I really like Brands Hatch GP. I love Brands Hatch Indy circuit, and the GP circuit's just even funner, especially in these cars. Yeah. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it, to be fair. I should have some quite good pace. So I was quick at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll translate to the GP circuit.
And then finally, a predictable question, I guess, going back to the real world, what would be your ultimate ambition? What would the thing that you'd like to be able to compete in the most be?
BTCC. You're probably going to guess that. Yeah, I just really like the British Touring Car Championship. It's fun to watch. It looks really fun to drive in. The cars look fun. It just looks like a really good championship.
It's been a fantastic paddock to be a part of for quite a few years for me, and you'd be a very welcome addition to that. Josh, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. It's great for our viewers to get to meet one of the younger up-and-coming drivers in the E-Series and indeed in the Mini Challenge. Wish you well for the final weekend, and we look forward to seeing you on the grid later in 2020.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Welcome back. I hope you had a good break. And let me just tell you, the team that put this together for you, absolutely superb. They've updated the championship points and fed them through to us. And bear in mind that that's 15 minutes. I've dealt with real world championships that can't get your points in, overnight. So fair play to the guys, Mike, Rich, and everybody that's done it. I think they've got people helping out with the maths today as well, but very well done for getting it. Dave Marshall obviously confirmed before the break as our champion for this year. Jack McIntyre also, and I think, apologies Jack for if I neglected to say this, is now also confirmed second position in the championship as well. He has 1183 points, 161 clear of Tobin Lee, who remains in third and should wrap up third position in the championship in the next race because he's 101 clear of Ryan Elliott. Ryan's still in the points positions, or prize positions I should say, because he is on 91 points ahead of Jordan Brennan. So still, I think, an outside chance Jordan Brennan could nip up into fourth position, but Ryan Elliott's still in fourth with Jordan Brennan, and Matt Richards on 717 in sixth place. In the Real World Championship, Max Coates is 76 points, I think, clear at the moment of Josh Martin. And after race one, after the break, race three, I suppose we should call it in terms of the day, there are only 56 points available in the last race of the day. So Max, if he finishes ahead of Josh or near to Josh in this race, will wrap up the overall, not the overall championship, the championship for the real world drivers. But Josh Martin's still in P2 on 803 points and has moved a little bit further clear of Isaac Smith, who is in third, closing in on third place, with Isaac having the pedal problem in that one, as you heard Dave Marshall describing on the podium interview in race 2. Rob Butler closing in. He's only 20 points behind now, Rob Butler. So Robin with a shout of the Real World Drivers podium. Moving up into fifth place in the championship with a good pair of races. Could almost be the Real World Silent Assassin, and that's Max Bird. He's up into fifth position now. He's passed Alex Toth-Jones total into fifth, and I think equal with Alex Toth-Jones on points now is Callum Newsham. So Callum should score more points and go ahead of Alex in the next two races. Alex obviously away and racing Real World Porsche this weekend, so we wish him well and give him a shout out to NSL Motorsport Consultancy, who have sponsored, very generously sponsored the championship, and also got the number 18 car out on track with us, which is Senna Proctor. Now, in terms of the focus drivers, I think in this race we are going to be featured drivers. We're going to be James McIntyre and Will Fairclough, who I don't think we have this weekend. So in that instance, means we're probably going to have focus on Luke Kidsley in this one, which will be good. Luke will be interviewed on the top step of the podium in our previous race meeting at Knock Hill. So Luke, I think, the featured driver for this one. As we watch Rob Butler, third position now in the Real World Driver standings. There's Luke Kidsley in the number 8, 2 wins so far, and both of them coming in reverse grid races. One in the first reverse grid race, Silverstone International, and the second one at Croft.
Hello Richard, it's Anthony again here.
Hello,
I
Anthony,
haven't missed
welcome
too
back.
much. My break slightly extended, I'm afraid.
I don't blame you. I've run through, I've just saying actually when we came back how organised the championship organisers are with the scores. You know, some championships you can wait overnight for an update, but these guys have done it in 10 minutes. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, they've certainly done a great job with the whole championship, and we're looking forward to putting in place plans for a sort of autumn-winter version as well, so that people can carry on getting involved in the Mini Challenge UK E-Series.
Brilliant, really look forward to that. There's Theo Bridgman Williams in the 22, and I stammered over identifying him earlier on. Had a complete mare trying to pick out whether he was. This is Brands Hatch was the first round that I saw him. I think he was on the podium as well. First time I saw him race here at Brands Hatch. So a driver with a limited amount of racing experience, and in the real world category rather than the sim category. But very much enjoyed his racing coming into pits at the moment. Pole position, as you can see at the moment, is with the Silent Assassin. So Jack Mack at the head of the field from Ryan Elliott. Ryan was very quick early on in the first session of the day. Callum Newsham is third from Tobin Lee. Tobin third in the overall championship as we watch the VRRC car of Jack Mack going through Surtees, still on for a great prize. The overall winners eluded him, but I really hope that what we've seen from him over the course of the 8 weeks helps him land a little bit of funding or help and assistance in getting him on the grid for real in some form or another. It would be superb to see him out on track. As we mentioned, he has done a little bit of on track action in terms of scholarships, and that's a really good way for drivers to just have a play in a race car. Certainly seeing having had first-hand experience of the Ginetta Junior Scholarship over the years, you get to meet some great people, whatever motor racing you're into. But that is a really good opportunity. That and the other scholarships that you'll find up and down the country, really good way of getting some track time, meeting other people, and just finding out what it's like and what's expected of you in the competitive arena. There's James Merrills in the 88. James, the driver who gave us our hot lap earlier on, the 23-year-old from Barnsley, and director of Merrills Motorsport Marketing Company, involved in Formula Student as well, if you remember from the chat we had earlier on in the season. Formula Student, another great initiative for drivers to get involved and engineers to get involved in a competitive race car arena, and you'll see all sorts of wonderful creations coming out of the Formula Student stable. Josh Martin coming into the pits, down in 12th place at the moment, Josh, so a little bit off kilter. I was watching the interview through again and make the point that all of Josh's championship list that I put up as a graphic actually was hidden behind some of the sponsor logos. But if you want to watch the interview again, or indeed any of the interviews that we've done over the course of the weeks, we've spoken to Damien Hall, Alex Toth-Jones. I think Ryan Elliott was the first one we've done. We had a chat as well with Jordan Brennan and Max Bird, the other interviewee that we've had. They are all available on the on YouTube. So if you sort of Google or YouTube search for Richard John Neal, you'll find those interviews and find out. We've been speaking to them about what sort of kit they run and what their experience is up to date. And they're only short interviews, they're about 10 minutes, so hopefully don't get too boring. There is Jordan Brennan, who's busy trying to climb away from 20th place at the moment, and this is, I think, his outlap. So there's a little bit of a moment there in the Liquid Monte car, but what a find Jordan Brennan has been in this championship. And a driver, as you'll see if you do get the chance to watch the interview with Jordan, that would dearly love to go circuit racing. His dad Nick raced in the MG Owners Club or the car club? I always get the two mixed up and I'll get my wrist slapped for that from the lot that I'm working for sure. But raced a Metro back in the 90s, 80s and 90s, and there is still quite a healthy contingent of Metros out there which people race. Very much a sort of modern day classic car now, but there are enough of them to have their own championship, which is, again, a cost-effective way of going motor racing. So Josh back out on track and trying to warm things up by the look of it, but Jack McIntyre still on P1. But the good story so far is that Max Bird is in second position on the grid at the moment. Max Bird, who is 5th in the standings, having a good run so far today. Let's not put the curse of the commentator on him, but running well in P2 and looking as if he could possibly, let's have a look points wise, whereas Max is on 664, so he's got an outside chance of getting up into the top 4, although Rob Butler did well, didn't he, in his 2 races to climb up into 5th, so it could be close and tight between those two, Rob Butler and Max Bird. Butler just going out of shot. They go through Hawthorne. So there is Max Bird, though, running P2 at the moment. Dave the Machine Marshall. Now this is going to be interesting. Dave, we know, has wrapped the championship up, but he will still be keen to come away with wins and impress. It'll be interesting to see what he can do now his mindset is clear of having to win the championship. He certainly won't want to disgrace himself, so he'll be running well. Ryan Elliott in 4th place on the grid and 4th in the sim class, 101 points down on Tobin Lee. So Tobin's 7th on the grid at the moment and looking good to wrap up third position in the championship in this race. 118 points available, including qualifying, and he's 101 points ahead of Ryan Elliott. So should, all being well, wrap up the third position, the last podium position in the sim races. As we watch Dave Marshall still there, but Jack Mack still quickest at the moment at 1:34.243 from Max Bird. Very good qualifying from Max with 9 minutes to go. Talking of our Maxes, where is our other Max? Let's have a quick look down. Max Coates. Is Max not gone out yet? He's he does need to set a time, does Max Coates, because if he loses out big time, he's got a good lead in the championship. 887 to 803 in terms of the points.
Yeah, it's interesting that Max not out, and they really don't normally wait this long to go out, so I'm just slightly concerned that maybe there's a technical problem that's causing him to not be on track. So I don't know whether our race director is able to give us an insight into that.
It's a little bit of a... He's got enough championship points in hand. He's got 84 points, which is... There's only 56 points left after the first race, but if the problem persists and Josh Martin has 2 good results, then Josh could still sneak into the lead of the championship. So, yeah,
that would be a shame, wouldn't it? If
it would, yeah.
If he's not able to actually defend his position or
absolutely
continue to try and win the championship for the real world drivers actually on track.
So still McIntyre from Max Bird, 900ths of a second down for the moment to Craig Timmins, who goes onto the gravel. The wonderful thing, of course, about sim racing is that you don't have all the lengthy safety car periods that we'll be back to as soon as we go real world racing, which is a shame. We absolutely do need them, and you have to have them for safety's sake, of course, but it is nice not having the safety car interventions or the restarts or anything else.
I'll tell you another thing that's quite nice, I'm sure, is that the drivers, and of course there aren't technicians as such, but they don't have to clear the gravel out of the cars. What a horrible job that is.
Yeah, that is that's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that one. Or repair the cars as well.
Indeed, but I tell you, that gravel problem, oh my goodness, when you get the gravel in there, it's coming out for race after race after race. You just find a few last bits that the mechanics haven't been able to remove.
Tobin Lee in shot at the moment, and
Max is on track.
He is, isn't he? Yep. So Max is going to go for some late laps by the look of it. He's still got 5 minutes, but remember, this is probably the longest circuit that we. Actually, it's not the longest. Snetterton 300 is the longest, but second longest track that we've run on. So he's not going to get that many laps in. But he's probably busy drinking champagne after his win, I would imagine.
Maybe that was what it was.
So good to see another winner from the story, and you know, people often say to me, when you're commentating, Richard, you know, you were saying you wanted to see so and so win, and it's not a favouritism thing. It's just that I think statistically it's great to have different people up on the top step of the podium. It adds to the story and just underlines how competitive these championships are. So I know Max it'll be relieved to have had that win, actually, but it was well deserved, wasn't it? There was nothing reverse grid about it at all.
Certainly, but he's looked at on occasions that he might have been able to, but never quite been able to make the defence stick in previous races. He's been in the position before, but just not. And there he pops up into 8th place in qualifying. So at least that's giving him a chance of having a good second half of this round.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? So, and he'll be around about where he was in race number 1. So that is perhaps form as we watch Tobin Lee. Tobin disappointing so far today. He's 3rd in the championship, and going through the stats and figures and everything after race 1, I'm thinking, you know, I probably haven't paid Tobin Lee the respect that I should have done, being 3rd in the championship, 19-year-old from Bath. But he's had a super season. He's been very quick. Took a race win in our first event. You may remember race 4 of the Donington Park configuration 8 weeks back. And since then has bagged another win and several other podia over the course of the season, the other one coming in race 2 at Croft. Has been quick, and you know, he's there 3rd in the standings, down behind Jack McIntyre. There's Max Coates banging in a quick lap. The other thing that I was going to say was that if you were to single out a driver's statistics other than Dave Marshall, The one I would probably look at is Jack Mack. Now, bear in mind, Jack McIntyre hasn't finished lower than 9th place. So all of his results are in single digits. His worst 2 results: 9th place, Brands Hatch Indy Circuit race 3, so the equivalent of the race we're qualifying for now on the Indy Circuit, and then his 3rd race at Knockhill, the reversal race at Knockhill, took an 8th. It was overtaking was a premium there. But if you look at his run of results, he's the sort of driver that gets penalised by drop scores, normally I would say. He hasn't here. I think he's got hit a little bit by Dave Marshall's fastest laps, but if you look at Dave Marshall's run of results going across, he's got more number 1s in the results. But equally, Dave has, a brace of 11th positions, a 9th, an 8th, a 7th, and generally they look a bit lower. So if you actually ran the 2 up alongside each other and looked at the numbers, you'd say, do you know what? I think that 37 car was the one that won the championship because of that run. He's been very, very consistent. I think that run in possibly any other championship would be enough to win the championship. There, though, he's Senna Proctor in the 18 car, and Senna at the moment down in 16th position. Great to have a chat with him. Thoroughly enjoying himself from the sound of it, Anthony.
It certainly sounded like he was, and good to hear the comparison between the mini challenge cars and the touring cars. And in fact, actually, that's something that a lot of drivers do comment on. Is it? It is different, of course, but it's the nearest thing to a British touring car that you can get into.
Yeah.
Talking of numbers, 1/1000th of a second between our current first and second place.
Yeah, good spot. Max Bird punted down to 3rd, and it's the 2 M's. McIntyre and Marshall, 1 and 2. Max Bird, 3 M's for the Max, I suppose, in 3rd place, and leading real world driver Ryan Elliott in 4th. So at the moment, it's a replay of race number 1 with Jack Mack still just at the top, and with 2 minutes remaining on the clock. See whether Max Coates has managed to improve. He's still 8th. There's a change because Tom Williams goes up into 6th position. A very good qualifying there from Tom. So Tom Williams, the driver of the number 19 car, if Tom finishes where he starts, that will be his best result in the championship. His best race so far, 7th position, race 2 at Donington Park, and he's been in 2 other top 10s, I think, to add to that. And his most common result seems to be 11th, just shy of the top 10. But good stuff from Tom Williams in P6 at the moment, ahead of Matt Richards. So ahead of a regular podium finisher, which is good. Then it's Matt Richards 7th, Luke Kidsley 8th, Max Coates now down to 9th position, and Rob Butler in 10th from Callum Newsham. Jordan Brennan oddly down in 13th place at the moment, and then Isaac Smith 14th, Damien Hall 15th, ahead of Senna Proctor 16th. So competitive session once again, and at the moment it looks as if Jack McIntyre is going to make it a double pole, as he did back in the round at Snetterton. Although it was, as he mentioned, not Snetterton, was it? Jack McIntyre, Silverstone National. Be Dave Marshall's and be Jack McIntyre.
Yeah, he's managed to extend that gap a little bit. Just obviously must have put in a quicker lap time there, and now it's up to a 10th and a bit.
Got it nailed around here, isn't he, Jack Mac?
He really does seem to. Yeah.
Hi, Richard and Anthony. I just thought I'd pop in. I heard you talking about whether there was an issue with Max earlier on. No reported technical issues from him. I think he was just maybe playing it a little bit cool.
Or maybe drinking champagne.
Maybe so. Just thought I'd pop in and just let you know there's no known technical issues for Max.
No problem.
As Mike said, it could have been the Yorkshire tea, couldn't it, as well? Thanks for that, Rich. Rich Hayden joining us there and letting us know. And, great work for letting us know that. Max down in 9th place again, roughly about where he was previously. As we watch Jack McIntyre, 20 seconds remaining for Q2, so I better start scribbling some times down. That's McIntyre and Marshall provisionally on the front row of the grid for our 3rd race, our penultimate race of our opening season. Max Bird is in 3rd place. Great to see Keir McConomy there. Keir at the moment down in 21st. Going back to our leading drivers, we've got behind Max Bird is Ryan Elliott, Josh Martin in 5th position, then Tom Williams. Great performance by Tom Williams in 6th at the moment. Let's hope he hangs on to that, Tom Williams. It'd be good to see him edging up towards the podium in the race for real. Tobin Lee is next up from Matt Richards. Then it's Luke Kidsley in 9th, and 10th position is Max Coates. So clock is run down. They'll be able to complete this lap, and then we'll have a word with our pole position man. But good to see Kim Economy having a good run in the 21 car, the man from Lichfield, one of the older drivers in the championship, and it's good to see drivers older than the teenagers actually having a go at this. I suspect we're probably going to see more of them getting into it as we do have another championship later on. So Kim Economy just on his last lap, 1.8 seconds down on pole position man Jack McIntyre at the moment, and well, a change because Max Bird pops in a quick lap, goes up into P2. Max Bird really on it, so having lost second position to Dave Marshall, goes back into P2, working real hard right the way through the session, the Bluebird Developments car, and goes onto the front row. So a good qualifying from him. You've got to say whoever's on pole does a mega job, and that's Jack McIntyre. But Max Bird going up into second position, I think what would have been his last lap of qualifying, to out-qualify Dave Marshall and push Dave back onto row 2. The other standout for me for qualifying, Tom Williams, who will line up 6 on the grid. To just quickly check through the others, Max Coates still in 10th, Kidsley 9th, Matt Richards up ahead of him. Tobin Lee improved to 7th as well. So Tobin had a good late run as well in our qualifying session. Our final qualifying session of the season, it was a double for Jack McIntyre. Let's just tick them off. So Jack Mack on pole, Max Bird in second, third Dave Marshall, Ryan Elliott 4th, Josh Martin in 5th place, Williams in 6th, 7th position, Tobin Lee, and then Matt Richards in 8th. Luke Kidsley next up as things start to change around as we get ready for the race. Let's go down into our virtual Parc Ferme though, and I think we can have a word with our pole man, Jack McIntyre. You've done it again, Jack. Well done. Good session.
Yeah, really good. I always find after the first 2 races, you kind of get into a rhythm and you make little gains here and there depending on where everyone else is, how the lines are, and yeah, really good. I did 2 PBs in a row there last 2 laps of the session, so can't be much happier than that.
Anthony Williams commented that at one stage Dave Marshall got to within a thousandth of a second of you to get himself up onto the front row with you, and then you responded to that, and also Max Bird came into the pitch because Max managed to knock Dave Marshall down to P3, so it was a fascinating session to watch.
Yeah, I was trying to keep a little eye on what was going on. I saw Dave put in, I could only see the first 2 decimals on the timing screen, so I knew he was close, but I didn't know he was that close. But yeah, just got my head down. Made a few changes this week. I've actually taken the, usually I have like a live delta of your best lap on the screen. I've taken that off because I found I used to panic when I was open ruin laps, so that seems to have done the trick actually.
Well, that's good to hear, and also good to see that you and Dave still going for it. So you're clearly enjoying what you're doing, and still the matter of pride over the last 2 races to to take us out to the end of the campaign.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm right in saying I might have secured 2nd as well. I don't think Tobin's close enough, so me and Dave now both kind of have nothing to lose. So I'm sure it'll be a couple of lively races. Yeah,
I think it's 161 points clear of Tobin, and there's only 118 points left now. So yeah, congratulations on taking the runner-up position in the championship, and you get a fine prize for that as well.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It'll be good to get out in the car. Hopefully meet a few of the other guys there as well. So yeah, that'd be brilliant.
Excellent. We look forward to seeing you. So that's the man who wrapped up 2nd position in the championship, Jack McIntyre. Well done on pole position, and we'll catch you on the podium after one of these 2 races, I'm sure.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll have a word with our featured driver, which is Luke Kidsley, I think. Luke, are you there?
Hello. How are we doing, Steve? How are we doing, Richard? You well?
Yeah, very well, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. I missed last weekend, which I was gutted about, to be honest with you. But unfortunately, as the race season started, we've got to do some work again now. So, yeah, we was out at Donny last weekend. But
was that coaching?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so we're getting our guys. Obviously, it's a bit of a mad rush now for everybody to get themselves back to race spec. Yeah, we were out yesterday as well as on Snetterton on Thursday. So, yes, it's been hitting the ground running, to say the least.
I think one of the difficult jobs that the organisers had to do of this championship was to say, okay, let's go for it. But we didn't know when racing was coming back, so a few drivers have had to go off and go back to tracks for real, as you did last week. But otherwise, the timing's been spot on, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like you said, none of us were all in the dark in what the future held. So it's good. I think it's actually worked out about right. Everybody that's competing this season in the E-Series as well as in real life, I'm sure they're going to find the benefit of having just keeping their eye into the to pace, really, and just especially in this championship, the pace has been unbelievable. I have to say, Richard's done a great job running the championship, as well as Max behind the scenes, as well as all you guys. But it's really been it's been such a well-run championship, and shame it's the last round, but looking forward to season 2 if it goes ahead.
Yeah, it'll be a cracker, absolute cracker. We look forward to seeing you in the paddock. Lastly, before you go, I think you were sharing the row with Max Coates, so you're going to beat him in this one.
Do you know what? I saw Max yesterday and I congratulated him because I knew he was going to wrap it up today. So, I just want to, if I could get a reverse grid, you know how they go, Richard. So that's what I'll be trying for, I think.
Nice one. I'll let you crack on because we just had the minute to go notice. So get yourself tooled up and ready to go. Luke Kidsley.
Good luck,
mate.
It, Rich. Good to see you, mate. Take care.
Nice to see you too. Thanks ever so much, Luke Kidsley, for me keeping him here as he should be prepping for the race, which is less than a minute to go. And that's the spirit of the championship, which we've encountered over the 8 weeks, which has been absolutely superb. So we're getting ready for our final fastest off the front race. Remember, we've got a reverse grid race as well coming up. So 2 more races to go in the Mini Challenge UK E-Series with Virtual Reality Racing Club about to get underway. Watch for the lights, which will be coming up very, very shortly. Jack McIntyre looking to add another win to his collection. Max Bird will be alongside him. And there is, you can see the 71 car of Max Coates there with Luke Kidsley, the man we were talking to alongside him. The lights are on though, and we're getting ready for the resumption of action here in the official Mini Challenge E-Series for Virtual Reality Racing Club. Penultimate race of the year is underway. It's a good start again by Jack McIntyre. Max Bird slots into second. Good start from him. Dave Marshall in blue and white is in third, putting pressure on. Ryan Elliott, good start for him in 4th place. And up to Druids for the first time they go with McIntyre the leader. They all bunch up. There is Josh Martin still trying to close down on Max Coates in the championship. Remember, only 56 points remaining after this race, and this could see Max wrap it up. But we've still got some podium issues in terms of the Real World Championship to sort out as well. Ryan Elliott coming under pressure from Josh Martin on the inside line. The green car looking down the inside of the predominantly white one. Max Bird in P2. Martin, I think, gets the position on Ryan Elliott, who's trying to get a run out of Surtees and get 4th position back, because 3rd place is our champion Dave Marshall. So Ryan Elliott looks on the inside line now, and good clean racing between the pair of them as they come up into Hawthorns. And Ryan Elliott, I think, is going to sneak back on the inside line. Just coming across slightly there is Elliott, who does manage to annex 4th place. Dave Marshall carries on in 3rd. Tobin Lee trying to come up the inside line of Ryan Elliott now as well. So that's McIntyre, the early leader from Max Bird. Max will be very keen to try and close him down. Matt Richards in the 4 car, very much in the fray with the 55 of Tobin Lee. There as well is Luke Kidsley. Luke ahead of Max Coates. He said he wanted to do that. What racing driver wouldn't? And he is there. Coates at the moment down in 11th place, 24 points. Josh Martin on for 4th place, 37. So not perhaps at the moment quite doing enough to keep the championship rolling into the final race of the season, but Josh working as hard as he can as Tobin Lee now looks at the inside line of Matt Richards, and a little bit of contact with Ryan Elliott as they go 3 wide. Richards got the better of Matt, had the momentum around the outside line and gains 5th position as they go up into Druids, and will chase Josh Martin now. He's got a little bit of breathing space ahead of these guys. Your top 3 at the moment though, McIntyre, Bird and Marshall.
Pretty typical end of season kind of racing going on. They're getting quite physical down there. Let's hope it doesn't end in tears.
I hope so too. You're absolutely right about when you get to the end of the season. I remember watching some Scottish Mini Cooper Cup racing several seasons ago, and you'd get to the last race, and the last race of the season will be absolutely crazy. You've got 6 months to repair cars for real. But yeah, to be fair, we've had super racing all the way through the campaign. It looks like we're going to sign off with 2 good races as well. McIntyre a second clear of Max Bird at the moment, and McIntyre with the fastest lap of the race as well. It will settle down. I would love to see Max Bird get a podium here. And again, not favouritism. He's a great lad though, but it'd just be good to see another driver up on the podium to underline the competitive nature of this championship. He's 8 tenths clear at the moment of this year's champion, Dave Marshall. Marshall, we know, will do everything possible to get further up the order though, as coming through is Isaac Smith, challenging Callum Newsham there. Isaac Smith in the black and blue 1-2-3 car goes through. No, he doesn't. It's Jordan Brennan who's behind. Callum Newsham still in front of him. So I was getting the Newsham Nutter cars bundled up. It's Callum Newsham who holds the upper hand at the moment out of the duo, who are still together. It's amazing, Anthony, isn't it? They've been close all season, those two.
They are. They're stuck together like glue, aren't they? No, they both of them seem to have really improved as the season's gone on, and they're starting to knock in some good results. But Max Bird here, he's certainly not embarrassing himself. He's actually just edging into that lead that Jack McIntyre's got, and he's doing a really good job.
He is. It would be great to see him A, get a podium, but B, also challenge for the lead. And he's 8 tenths away from Jack Mack at the moment as the cars come towards us and down Pilgrim's Drop. Geographically, just over the back, you can, if you're watching at Druids, you can just sort of saunter over there and watch them go along Pilgrim's Drop and then up into Hawthorne. So you can, certainly on sports car racing, have a wander around and watch from those 2 vantage points at various points during the day. Ryan Elliott there, still in 9th position. He's got Rob Butler ahead of him now, so Ryan has dropped back a little bit, and Isaac Smith will be the driver trying to close him down in black and blue. Yeah, behind them, Callum Newsham, Jordan Brennan 11th and 12th. A little bit off colour, I've got to say today, those two. But it'd be good to see him get up into the fighting for that 10th position and maybe get a reverse grid. Just see Damien Hall take a gyration there in the 246 car. So the man from Barbados having a little bit of a gyration, was certainly on the pace in race number 1 and indeed in qualifying, but drops down towards the back of the order with that spin. Might have been affected by a little bit of contact as well.
Yeah, I think there could have been something going on there down towards the sort of lower end of the pecking order, which caused him to fall back a bit further. But Max Coates starting to get a bit of a charge on now. He's taken a couple of places and starting to eat into the lead that Tobin Lee has over him. Be interesting to see where he ends up.
Yeah, he just really needs to finish this race to secure the title, and that's what we've got to keep in mind. But he'll want to finish as far up as he can. If he can get a podium, that would be super. To get a podium, though, he's going to have to beat the the new champion, Dave Marshall, and also the man who's got fastest lap, Max Bird, fastest lap on that previous tour. So as you said, Anthony, working hard, but the gap's gone out from 8 tenths to 1.4 now, McIntyre to Bird. 4 tenths down to Dave Marshall, who's having a quarter distance renaissance, if there is such a thing, closing in on the second place man. And there is Callum Newsham in the 16 machine, running in 10th place, a provisional pole at the moment for race 4, trying to close down on Ryan Elliott in 9th, Rob Butler in 8th, and Max Coates up ahead of him, as you say.
Yeah, it looks like Dave Marshall's on a bit of a charge here and is starting to put the pressure on, I think, onto Max Bird. So it'd be interesting to see how Max Bird manages to handle the pressure, see if he does it as well as Max Coates managed it in race 2 of the first half of today. And also Max Coates starting to really eke into that lead that Tobin Lee's got to.
He is, isn't he? He's half a second down at the moment. This is one of my favourite shots in motor racing, actually, is looking, certainly camera shots anyway, looking right the way along Bradford Straight, the undulations of Brands Hatch as they come up into Paddock Hill Bend. It's a mega corner to watch on anyway, but it's just such a super shot that you get.
Yeah, it's a bit, even on the sim version of it here, you just don't really quite get to see how steep that drop is down Paddock Hill Bend.
It really falls
the
away,
cars
doesn't it?
come over the edge there and start to go light, and so often you start to see cars losing rear end traction at that stage.
It's actually quite a scary corner.
It is.
I've driven it on a track day, and I've been round as a passenger in a race car a couple of times, and it's a thrilling experience to go around with the driver who actually knows what he or she is doing.
I think we just missed a little change there. Josh Martin's managed to take position from Dave Marshall.
Oh, cracking stuff from Josh Martin. Well, apologies to him, and well done, Anthony, for spotting that while I was wittering on about my experience.
I think we were both gabbling on about something.
So well done, Josh, up into P3. Now this is absolutely key for him because it puts him on to 40 points at the moment. Max Coates down in 7th on 30, so he'll take 10 points. The gap, what did we say, was 84, 74. It's still not enough to take the championship to race 4. But Josh Martin very clearly not giving up the opportunity to A, go for a first podium, which Dave Marshall will want back, and B, to try and take the championship to the last race if he can. So if Max gets embroiled and falls away, it will go to race 4, but Josh Martin doing everything that he can in the Ski Tyres car to close down. I never realised
certainly back under pressure then from Dave. Dave definitely wants that podium position back again.
He does, doesn't he? And it's all going to be about the stats now for Dave Marshall to try and bag another podium and sign off in style. They both run very, very wide indeed there. Josh maybe slightly more so. Max Bird's still in a very good second position at the moment, still with the fastest lap. 1.4 down on Jack McIntyre, who just seems to have had the measure of everybody else so far, but good drive thus far from Max Bird in second as we pick up with Jordan Brennan, back of the group. He's got Tom Williams incidentally behind him. Tom's fallen away from that excellent qualifying in 6th down to 13. Luke Kidsley now 14th, having started ahead of Max Coates. Max has worked his way through, so Luke clearly had a little bit of an issue. Liquid Moly car showing some battle scars again as we go in car with Jordan Brennan, the Liquid Moly liveried machine, busy putting Isaac Smith under pressure. Now Isaac, of course, 3rd in the standings, dropped away a little bit so far after his pedal problem in race 2 from Josh Martin. Martin on 803 points, Isaac Smith on 748, and Rob Butler on 728. So the other position we need to look at is Rob Butler and how he scores compared to Isaac Smith. Butler 8th will be 28 points, Isaac Smith 11 on 23, so he'll take 5 out. It's not going to be enough, I think, maybe to worry Isaac Smith unless Isaac has another equipment problem in this race, or indeed race 2 of our second half of the meeting.
Sorry, Dave Marshall just ahead of Josh Martin again there.
He's got him back, isn't he? And Matt Richards, now Dave's teammate, putting him under pressure as well.
Yeah, and the gap to Max up is near enough 2 seconds, so it'll be interesting to see whether Dave can start to claw his way back up towards Max Bird. Also the gap, obviously there you can see on screen between McIntyre and Bird, also nearly 2 seconds. So McIntyre's definitely got a reasonably secure lead, or at least as secure as it gets in Mini Challenge racing.
Yeah, a little bit of contact there. Ryan Elliott side by side with Isaac Smith. He's going to collect it up. We were saying about Rob Butler not scoring enough points here to take the battle into the last race, and Isaac Smith has dropped back down into 12th position now. Now Rob Butler in 8th, 13th now in fact, is Isaac Smith. So again, it's not really make too much of a difference, but if Isaac has too many more moments, like it doesn't seem to be, he's round at the moment, Isaac Smith, but still the 1-2-3 car 3rd in the real world drivers standings. Rob Butler 4th, and then Max Bird now in 5th position. So we probably need to look at Max Bird's score, 664, Rob Butler 728. So it's going to need a miracle for Max Bird to move up another position, but he has worked so hard through the year, particularly these later rounds, to try and move up through the order. Matt Richards passing Josh Martin there, so well done Matt. Josh is going to try and fight back though. Takes a wider line as they go across the start finish line. He's going to maybe look at the cutback through Pallet Hill Bend. So Josh Martin in 5th position. Now just 2 cars behind him now is Max Coates. You can see Max coming up the hill. Max, real world champion elect. I think Max would have quite liked the complimentary Cooper drive at Croft as well, because it's the Cooper's at his home circuit this year, isn't it?
It certainly is, and actually there has been the sort of rumour that he might fancy a guest drive at the Croft event. He was desperate to race there in the JCW class, but when we revised the calendar, look at nearly making the move there on Tobin Lee actually. So we don't want to ignore what's going on the screen in front of us. But yeah, Max keen to race at Croft. It's his home circuit, so I think there is a rumour that he might have a go in the Cooper class.
That'd be good if he can sort that out. And what's the deal on?
It would, although I think he's going to find it very difficult because some of those lads in the Cooper class are blisteringly fast, and of course they know the cars, whereas Max won't.
Yeah, for sure. He'll probably do a little bit of testing, but I take it there are probably cars or teams available to hire.
Yes, there is a fairly limited number of Cooper class cars. So the championship, or that class of the championship, yeah, frankly was almost non-existent about 7 or 8 years ago, and we've rebuilt it over that time. It's really a bit of a passion of mine because I raced in it myself personally, and I'm very supportive of the Cooper class. It is an very important part of the Mini Challenge, even if it doesn't have quite the same level of sort of glory that the JCW does. But no, there are still cars available, so it certainly would be possible for him to have a go. He's looking to make a move here into Paddock Hill Bend. Classic overtaking manoeuvre there from Max Coates. Can he make it stick? Looks like he can as they run up towards Druids. There's always the opportunity for the driver that's been overtaken to have a lunge down into Druids, but on this occasion, Tobin Lee obviously taking the view that it's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, Tobin's learned a lot, I think, through racing this as well. As a good move between the two of them, nice and clean. And repeating myself, but Anthony, I don't know whether you know that Tobin was racing with Jenson Button in e-racing a couple of weeks ago.
I didn't know that at all. No, how did he do?
He was teammate. I don't actually know where they finished, but they were teammates and they had a great time by all accounts. So, podium finish. There we go. So yeah, great stuff for Tobin. And Max now within sight of Josh Martin. So if Max can close down, he's 2 seconds away from Josh Martin at the moment, but they are 1 and 2 in the Real World Championship. I'm not sure whether he's going to have time to close in because we've got 6 minutes left on the clock. Jack McIntyre still leading from Max Bird. 2 seconds is the lead. Bird to Marshall in third place is 1.04, goes out to 1.08. So Max Bird looking for a first podium. So, we're in the penultimate race of the year. We've still got stories and new drivers making their way up onto the podiums. We've watched Rob Butler in 9th place. At the moment, Isaac Smith 10th. And we go on board with Josh Martin, who's in 5th position, not that far away still from Matt Richards. And so Isaac Smith looking for pole position for our last race of the season. But Ryan Elliott is in 11th, so Ryan will be looking to try and get up ahead of him and get onto the front row for the last race and maybe grab another podium, which he's been so good at doing over the course of the 8 rounds that we've had. Tom Williams 12th behind him, then Jordan Brennan and Luke Kidsley. So McIntyre, gap's come down actually. Now it was 2 seconds. It's now 1.7 seconds McIntyre to Max Bird, and Max Bird still has the fastest lap of the race. So this is good stuff from Max Bird.
He's given a great account of himself, and as you say, he's starting to nibble into that lead that Jack McIntyre's got. Whether Jack's just sort of managing it, I don't know, but certainly Max Bird is doing a good job there. Dave Marshall narrowed the gap, but it seems to have stabilised at just about that second mark. So again, Max Bird, solid performance, really impressive drive.
I think he has a good synergy in the real world with Brands Hatch, because I can't remember without digging out the stats, but I'm fairly sure, wasn't he the driver that came out and did a Ginetta Junior pole or podium first time out? I'm fairly sure it was him. I think to look at the results, but ran well with it. I know he did a limited campaign in Ginetta Juniors and decided that they would save the budget and then come out in the GT5s, which he did well in as well. There's James Merrill's in the 88 car, busy having a good dice with Theo Bridgman. That's for 15th place, so good scrap between the pair of them at the moment, and Theo with the upper hand in 15th. Just seeing how that's only a couple of places shy of his best result, 13th at Snett, where we were keeping an eye on him. But James Merrills is going to nab that place away from him, tucks down the inside line, teed that move up very well indeed, and goes through. So they're still side by side. We'll see whether Theo can get the momentum as they go down into Paddock Hill Bend. James Merrills on the inside. Oh!
Rough and tumble.
It was a little bit, wasn't it? So the great thing is that Theo can keep going. Hopefully he hasn't picked up too much virtual damage on the car, but Bridgman from dicing for 15th, now down in 19th place. Got Damien Hall trying to close up on him, we saw have the little bit of contact and forced into a spin earlier on down in 20th. Then it's Kenny Press and Kieran McConomy 21st and 22nd. Gap's got out to 1.8 seconds again, McIntyre to Bird out front as we watch Ryan Elliott in 11th. Closing in, this is the battle for provisional pole. The black and blue car at the moment on provisional pole for race 2 is Isaac Smith, and Ryan Elliott keeping him honest with Jordan Brennan. Unusually, normally we're seeing Jordan fighting for podia, but at the moment fighting to try and get onto provisional pole for race 2. Down behind him it's Tom Williams having a struggle to try and get in as well, but Ryan Elliott here absolutely crucial if he can get past Isaac Smith, and if he does pass Isaac Smith and relegate Smith to 11th place, that is going to underwrite second position in the championship even further.
This is probably the most
Josh
important
Martin.
battle on the track at the moment, isn't it? Really, for
I
that
think it
last
is.
or the top 10 position for the reverse grid.
Yeah.
The final race.
And it's going to mean harder work for Isaac Smith to have to do in the reverse grid race. So therefore, Josh Martin, as here comes Ryan Elliott, looks down the inside line. This is close between the two, a little tap on the back end. Isaac Smith held on to that well and maintains his confidence, but Ryan Elliott has found the inside line as they go up into Druids and takes 10th position. Isaac Smith's going to try and hold on the outside line and grab the inside for Graham Hillbed. Can't do it, swings to the outside, and he'll try and get the run along Cooper Straight instead. I thought he was going to tuck himself up the inside there with that wide sweep in, but that's not the case. He's maybe just taking stock. Ryan Elliott getting a little bit defensive coming into Surtees, rightly so. Now he's got that 10, so he knows he's on provisional pole for race 2 at the moment. But Isaac Smith, this is going to fire up the 1-2-3 car for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this reverse grid obviously does always create this little opportunity for somebody to take the view that there's it's really important to get that last position in the top 10. Of course, in the real world championship, we randomise the reverse grid, so it's slightly less obvious where you're going to be, and therefore there's a little bit less of this sort of fighting for a particular position. But actually, looking at this, perhaps we should change the rules because it creates a bit of excitement down the field.
Assuming they know where they are, yeah, that's an interesting point. So is it 6 to 10?
That's right, and then it's drawn randomly by the winner of the previous race.
It's such a good thing to do, and I remember when reverse grid racing came in, and I think the first championship that really did it, or balloted grids, was Eurocar. I can't remember who had the first sort of reverse grid championships, but the purists at the time looked down their nose at it. But it really is a superb thing. You've got to entertain the people that are watching, whether it's watching on the TV coverage, live stream coverage, or whatever. And the cream always rises to the top, to use the cliche. It doesn't seem to affect championship. Same with the drop score scenario that we've had. By and large, it doesn't affect things, but it just adds a little more spice.
It does. I think I personally would quite like to see fully reversed grids. That would be really entertaining. Clearly the challenge is what you don't want to do is start to create any unnecessary contact, and there's always a balancing act with that. But nevertheless, it's perhaps something we ought to consider, because I certainly like the reverse grid format.
I do too, and you and I were chatting before the racing got underway about Lee Pearce, who of course has grown up with racing reverse grids in his short oval background, because the fastest driver.
Absolutely, but he's always a very entertaining driver. Perhaps sometimes a little more, little firmer than perhaps we would ideally like. I'm sure that will be toned down this year with a bit more experience under his belt.
Yeah, but a quick peddler nonetheless.
Absolutely. Interesting line there. It's definitely questionable track limits on
I bet it was, yeah. So Ryan Elliott in 10th place. He's got Rob Butler's going to be on the front row as well. This is where I start to rub my hands together, because we've got Ryan Elliott and Rob Butler on the provisional front row for race 2, and never a dull race. With John Brennan trying to close in on them. They're on the final lap, so time is running out. It's McIntyre and Berg 1 and 2. Marshall and Richards
at the front there. Marshall just starting to edge into that lead that Max has got over him, but I don't think it's going to be enough time for him to catch up. But nevertheless, you never know with Dave Marshall.
No, you don't know. We're looking at Max Coates, who is about to, well, Josh Martin in green and Max Coates in black, yellow, red and white, and Coates about to wrap up the Real World Drivers' Championship here, and with that superb Virtual Reality Racing Club rig. And he would love to, of course, beat Josh Martin on track. Martin trying to close in on Matt Richards. But that is one story here about Max coming from a win in race number 2 to securing the championship, class championship here. The other big story is still the man with the fastest lap, Max Bird, on for a potential maiden podium in P2. So still the stories are coming thick and fast in the e-racing championship. And Richards up ahead. Josh Martin is going to be looking in his mirrors, and Max will want to go past here, and he could be with a shout at doing this one, Anthony.
It's certainly not giving up, is he? It's going to be going down to the wire.
Very close indeed. So Coates putting the pressure on. Jack McIntyre, meanwhile, is going to make it 2 wins from 3 races here. It was P2 in the reverse grid race, so he's going to be, I think, heading towards the top point scorer of the day, barring any problems, in race 4, and does a little bit of buzzing with the outside line to take the win. Jack McIntyre wins. Max Bird is going to get 2nd place. This is the battle between the 2 real world drivers. Josh Martin wins the battle of the race, but Max Coates is crowned champion of the real world drivers. And congratulations to Max. Well done to Josh Martin for fifthing Max in the race. So Max Coates in 6th place. Tobin Lee is in 7th place. 8th place goes to Callum Newsham. 9th position, Rob Butler. And it's Ryan Elliott who takes that 10th position. And with it, the provisional pole for our 4th and final race of the day. Coming through still.
Really good race there again, Richard, wasn't it?
It was.
Different kind of race that time, but still really interesting.
Yeah. Any contenders for driver of the race?
I think there's a bit of a theme going on with my views on this this weekend, but I think it's a pretty straightforward choice between two drivers. And you mentioned about the cream always rising to the top, and ultimately, whilst there's obviously lots of action going on further down the field, I think today it's fairly obvious to me that the drivers of the day really should be chosen are the ones towards the top of the tree. Yeah. And for me, it's either Jack McIntyre for just another stunning, controlling drive, really, just continuing to eke out that lead and putting his stamp of approval or stamp onto the race, and then very similar to previous races with another driver, but Max Bird for that fantastic jump up into 2nd place. So I think on balance, and I'm not going to apologise for this, Max Bird.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And he's had a lot of pressure, put a lot of pressure on himself to get a podium, and he's done it. He's dealt with that. And fastest lap as well. So
absolutely, it's really good job. And I'm sure his mother Sarah will be shouting and at the screen somewhere in their household.
Superb stuff, Anthony. A Max Bird driver of the race there. But Jack Mack takes another win.
Now he's obviously really keen to get that silverware, isn't he? Because I think he'll end up picking up some silverware if he carries on at this rate.
I think you're right. He will. We've got our top 3 down in Virtual Park Ferme, and it's a case of deja vu for me because it was P3 in the first race of the day. So let's have a quick word with our champion, Dave Marshall, first race as champion and 3rd position. How was it?
Oh, it's starting to sink in a bit now. It's starting to sink in. Yeah, it was a bit of a strange race that. Came out the blocks and, if I'm honest, just didn't click with the car straight away. And then I thought, right, I'll learn my lesson a bit from the first race and try and take it a bit easier on the tyres, and then I just couldn't find a rhythm in trying to do that. So I was like, right, losing too much time here, let's try and push again. And then sure enough, as soon as I got my laps together, then managed to get 3rd. So yeah, just got to stay in the rhythm. That's a lesson learned there.
And one more race to go in this campaign, and obviously you're going to be starting off the 4th row of the grid, and you're just going to be going for it, I suppose.
Yeah, what's there to lose, Yeah, I mean, what a championship this has been. I don't really know what I'm going to do on my Saturdays now. If I'm honest, we've obviously got the touring cars on Tuesday, which is held by the same, VRRC.
Yeah.
So feel free to tune into that. Yeah, and in the sponsors that's helped us with that so far, it's really going to help us with the Mini. So I've got obviously my track car and the likes of SW Motorsport, track car door cards. They've come on board and really helped us try to push the track car for a bit of preparation for the Mini. So big thanks to them, otherwise it wouldn't be possible.
That's a proper real world interview just on there as well, mate.
I got to get the practice in.
Well done, Dave. Congratulations. 3rd position in that one. Let's move on to the man who took 2nd position, a maiden podium, not before time. Very well done. Fastest lap, driver of the race as well. Max Bird. Well done, Max.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I can say that was definitely not easy. Obviously, racing up with these top guys, Dave and Jack. I just had to try and keep consistent, and yeah, I'm quite surprised I finished there, to be honest.
No, you did well, and you just have not had the luck that goes with it to get up onto the podium. But we're delighted to see you there, and underlined by that fastest lap. So nobody can take anything away from you with that drive at all. Superb stuff. Must be really good.
It was a really good race, and yeah, I think I'm finally starting to get used to this whole simulator stuff.
And how was it in the week? Because you took part in the Goodyear test at Snetterton, so good time back in the real car.
Yeah. So we did. I think it was 4 50-minute sessions. Torrential rain, but I think me and my teammate Max Coates were pretty fast, or one of the fastest few. So yeah, I think we'll be going well in real life as well.
Excellent. We look forward to seeing you in the real. Well done. First podium, and the 15th driver to get on the podium in the E-Series this year. So well done. Well done on fastest lap and driver of the race as well.
Hi Max, it's Anthony here. Just say well done too.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
So let's go on to our winner. We're making a habit of interviewing this fella here on the GP circuit at Brands Hatch, the man who's had double pole and now double win. Jack Mack, well done, the silent assassin. Another cracking win.
Cheers, yeah, just managed to get my head down, got away at the start, put in a few good laps. Got a bit of a gap and then, yeah, just held it from there. It was really good lap by Max to get the fastest lap. I was trying for a lot of time, you know, mid-race to try and get that back, but couldn't quite do it, so yeah, well done, Tim.
Good to see another driver making it up onto the podium, isn't it, in Max Bird?
Yeah, it's great. We saw his pace in practice yesterday, and it was obvious that he was going to be up there challenging for some wins and some podiums. So, yeah, well deserved.
And in terms of the reverse grid race, obviously you've still got to start P10 again. It was second position last time. Can you do a 10th to first?
We'll see. That's quite a tall order for anyone other than Dave. So. I'll give it my best. You know, it's race 4 is always a little bit more leery than the others, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I guess just in case I don't do it and don't get a podium and don't get to speak to you again, just a big thanks to Rich Hayden and Max Coates and everyone else who's put time and effort into organising this. It's been really good from a sim racer's perspective. The organisation of it's been really top notch. So hope to see you back again soon.
Well done, Jack. Well thought out as well, mate. You're obviously thinking ahead about what might happen in the race, so fair play to you. And well done to you and all the drivers on Superb Entertainment over the last 8 weeks. It's been great.
Cheers, mate. Thanks very much.
So, Jack McIntyre, our winner of race 3 of our 8th weekend of official Mini Challenge E-Series racing with Virtual Reality Racing Club. We also heard from driver of the race, fastest lap, and second place man Max Bird, and our champion for 2020, Dave Marsh, who finished in 3rd place. And you heard him say it's beginning to sink in. And he sounded like, I mean, we know he's a real racing driver anyway, but the little chat there about the people that are helping him and the thank yous, that was straight off a real podium, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. It's yeah, really good job from all of them, really. And it's fantastic racing. I'm just loving watching it, actually. Earlier on, there was Jack mentioned about trying to get on the real world grid. I'd certainly love to see him there. And if he's listening now, at some point, feel free to get in touch with me and we can see if we can make something happen.
Moved away from our congratulations, of course, to Max Coates, who is our champion. Max, great race. You were a fair way down behind Josh Martin in the early stages of the race, but you nibbled away. You nearly pipped him to beating him in the race. But first of all, many congratulations on winning the class championship. He's gone. Are you there, Max? You have to push the button to talk as well. I think we had problems with that in the past. He's still in the room with us. Max Coates, are you there?
I realise I have my mic on mute. I'm back.
Max, so we're bigging you up. We're just saying many congratulations on winning the real world class of the championship.
Yeah, thanks very much. Pretty chuffed with that. It was a good drive. I feel like I've got really good pace around here. So yeah, I've just overtaken the 5 guys that sit in front of me, so I'm hoping I can maybe go and try and do that for another reverse grid win.
That would be cool to go for it, but a lot of work to do. But yeah, you very nearly picked Josh there as well, and you know Josh has given you a good run, hasn't he?
Yeah, it was a bit tight on the line, but yeah, to be honest, I've not won a round yet, and I'd really like to do so. So I think from what you said before, it's a nip and tuck between myself and Josh. So. This race is going to be the one that counts, I think.
Are you looking forward to getting your new sim rig?
Oh boy, yeah, big time.
Well, congratulations, mate. Thanks for having a chat with us, and good luck for race 4, our final race.
Cheers. Hopefully I'll speak to you again in a little bit. But if not, again, thank you very much for all your help.
Pleasure. So Max Coates, our new champion. Respective champions already on the grid, ready for race 4 here on Brands Hatch GP configuration. Normally we're in one of the boxes on the, see the buildings on the left hand side of the shot, we're in the top of one of those for the TV, the circuit commentator on the one to the right hand side on the inside, and superb views from both of those positions, I have to say.
Yeah, and Richard, all those spectators that are up there above the Radio Brands, that's an interesting place because you're not supposed to go up there and watch, but it is the best place to watch from. So whenever possible, people sneak up the stairs and try and get up there onto that top viewing platform.
And then you've got Chris Hartley, whoever pulling their hair out because they're in the way.
Exactly.
Actually, me and Chris don't have hair to pull out, actually, but there we go. The lights are on. We're nearly ready to go for our final race of the season. We are underway And from pole position, Ryan Elliott makes a good start. Rob Butler just nips in to second position. Good start from Callum Newsham, who runs in third. It was side by side to fourth as they go into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. That's going to be Tobin Lee and Josh Martin. Josh has had a good start, I think, up ahead of Max Coates. So there is Jack Mack in the 37 car looking to try and make progress. So too will Max Bird in this one. Those two starting on row 5 of the grid for our final 20-minute race of the season. Max Bird gets taken out wide there with Isaac Smith to his inside. That's not going to do Max Bird any favours. Isaac Smith trying to get back in the points at Josh Martin, who of course starts ahead of him. Isaac Smith was outside the top 10 in race 3, which means therefore that he starts that much further back and therefore has work to do in the early stages. They go down Pilgrims for the first time with Ryan Elliott out front, Rob Butler in second. Either of those two you'd fancy as a winner. Same too with Callum Newsham in third. Good to see Callum on the podium again and maybe become our ninth different winner of the season if he can make the move on Rob Butler. The fact that he's behind Rob at the moment means that he did outscore him in the earlier race, so it is a battle between the two of them. Rob mainly of course having raced in Ireland, but it's Tobin Lee, another reverse grid race specialist in the 55 machine, looking around the outside line, and the leaders run wide, and we've got Rob Butler now coming through to take up lead position. So Ryan Elliott down to second. Rob Butler is the new leader, and again could be a potential story here because Rob Butler has got the skill to maintain that lead. It'll be interesting to see whether he can hold on and maybe become another first-time winner.
Oh, it's certainly a very exciting first lap there. Oh, the contact on Paddock Hill Bend there. I'm not sure who was involved, but certainly the order is all shuffled around. Oh,
and Jack McIntyre as well involved, goes sideways across the track. So Jack McIntyre in the mix and loses out. Luke Kidsley's coming through well. Luke Kidsley is up into 4th place. So Kidsley's running well. Max Coates is up into 3rd.
Yeah, so Max is still definitely on with a chance of getting that second reverse grid win. And yeah, really pack shuffled around so much there in those two turns.
Very much as you called it, Anthony. This is very much an end-of-term race, isn't it? The way that the contact played out there. And although there's no damage to repair from these cars, they are absolutely going gung-ho for it.
I was just thinking about I think it must have been a sort of 1970s, maybe, I don't know, 80s pop song, maybe earlier, I don't know, but Let's Get Physical, wasn't it? That was the... Is it Olivia Newton-John?
It was, yeah. It was. Yeah.
I'm showing my age.
You'll be on Popmaster in the week. If you know what Popmaster is. He doesn't. Total blank there.
No.
Right. You're not a Radio 2 listener.
No.
Well, my assistant director, when we work for ITV, has been on Popmaster twice, and we keep giving him stick about it. But he's always trying to encourage people to go on, but not something that I would do, to be honest. But yeah, Olivia Newton-John was the one. Rob Butler though out front from Ryan Elliott. Max Coates in 3rd. So Max
Isaac Smith, nice move there on Marshall actually. Oh no, they've swapped back again.
I have Marshall back through, so is Josh Martin. I thought Josh Martin lost out earlier on. He's down in 10th place, so Isaac Smith trying to get up into the top 10 at the minute. Jack McIntyre down in 16th after that massive moment going up into Druids. So Butler, Elliott and Coates, Luke Kidsley in 4th.
There's so much action going on, I can't keep up.
I know, and we're still not a quarter of the way through this race at the moment, so Josh Martin in 10th should cement 2nd in the championship. So the one we need to probably watch, and I haven't updated the points from race 1, is Isaac Smith and Rob Butler, because they were relatively close after race 2 of the weekend. So it's going to be, I think it is going to be close with Butler leading this one and Smith down in 11th. So Butler on 50 points potentially from this race, and Isaac Smith on for 24. So it's going to be nip and tuck.
I'll tell you who's benefited from that shuffling of the order though. It's Senna Proctor. He's had a quiet weekend, but now in 7th place. Not a million miles behind Tobin Lee, so it'd be nice to see Senna getting a nice result to round off the end of the race weekend and indeed the end of the season.
Yeah, that'd be good to see. Yeah, Senna in 7th, and Jack Mack getting very physical there with Matt Richards. Excuse me, barge him out of the way. Very physical indeed. James Merrill's in the mix with him as well. And Jack McIntyre, it's almost as if he knew it was his last podium interview, the way he called that. He thought about that, hadn't he? Fair play to him.
It's fairly clearly not going to be Jack's best race in terms of results, this one, I think.
He was saying about, you know, winning the round on points. I'm wondering where Dave Marshall is on the overall round points, because he can't be that far away from him. He's in 9th. Jack back down in 15th, so it could be Marshall's round again. So another podium in the offing as we look rightly, following your mention of Senna Proctor in the MSL car, MSL Motorsport Consultancy. Machine having a good look at Tobin Lee there at the moment for 6th place, so still Butler. Haven't even looked at fastest lap yet.
No, it's interesting. Yeah, now Senna's up there with some of the quicker runners. He clearly has got the pace to do it. It's just obviously earlier in the previous races, the track position didn't work out for him. Got mired down in the lower positions.
Yeah, certainly.
I'm not sure whether we've just lost Richard there, possibly. So I'll pick up the reins of the commentary for a little while. We can see there Max Coates closing the gap to Ryan Elliott. Was a second and a bit, now down to half a second, so basically pretty much there on his tail. But also just coming back to Senna, yeah, so he's clearly still putting the pressure on Tobin Lee, only a couple of tenths behind, and now even closer than that. I mean, they're basically joined together now at this stage, aren't they? And it'd be really good to see Senna pull out a good result in this race. Fingers crossed he does. So the gap now between Butler and Elliott, oh, that's virtually nothing, isn't it? And yeah, very close at the front there with Max Coates again right up behind. In fact, Coates has obviously just taken 2nd place on the timing screens, and in fact has taken the lead. Oh my goodness, I've missed that. It's, what a move that must have been. Oh no, hold on, Butler's back again in the lead.
Hopefully you can hear me back with you now. And
Richard,
apologies for the dropout there. Not sure what happened, but it's Rob Butler who is there. 3-way fight for the lead.
Going on?
Yeah, superb stuff. And Coates is going back for it. Rob Butler getting defensive as they come down Graham Hill and into Graham Hill Bend. Luke Kidsley in 3rd in with a shout as well. So we've got 3 real-world drivers battling it out up front here. This is almost as if they're sort of doing a little bit of a sign-off to the sim lads, isn't it, at the end?
It is. Maybe it's just a statement of intent for the next season that they know that they're going to be there or thereabouts and actually fighting with the sim lads throughout the whole season.
So Rob Butler still here at the moment. Coates looking to the outside line as they come up towards Hawthorne's Bend, but Luke Kidsley's got the inside run here.
Oh,
Kidsley
fantastic.
could fancy 2nd. Coates has a little tap, runs wide. Rob Butler still in the lead now, and Luke Kidsley up into P2, but Ryan Elliott's coming to join in. Ryan Elliott plus Jordan Brennan. Tobin Lee is there as well. Then Senna Proctor is not far away now from a podium, is he? So Senna
This
Proctor,
is going to be an 8 or 9 car train very quickly.
Did you see Sen ride the curbs on 2 wheels then as well?
Yeah, it's really good, isn't it? Oh, was that Ryan Elliott's drop down? Yes,
it was Ryan Elliott, yeah. So
must have been
Elliott,
a little bit of contact there, I imagine.
yeah, a little bit of a problem for Ryan, but it's Rob Butler soaking up the pressure at the moment. Luke Kidsley in 2nd place. The Lux Motorsport man will be keen to sign off with a win. So too will Max Coates. He's now thinking, Coates, thinking originally, I fancy having a win in this championship. He's now going to be considering a double win from 3rd. Jordan Brennan runs wide there. I think lost a little bit of ground, drops back to 8th place. Josh Martin is 9th. In fact, now 8th goes up ahead of him as well as Coates nibbles away at the inside line of Kidsley. Here's the view from the leader. Rob Butler looking back. The inside line, the black and red car of Luke Kidsley. Lux Motorsport machine ahead of the Elite Motorsport car of Coates. Lux car runs wide. The Lux Motorsport car. Max Coates goes back through the inside line into 2nd place. So still very close between those guys. It's Dave Marshall, unsurprisingly, with the fastest lap of the race at the moment. On this one, Marshall in 5th, and Dave Marshall looking to try and win the day overall, of course, in terms of the points, and pick up his silverware as we ride on board with Max Bird, who's having another good race here. Max Bird, really running well on the Brands Hatch GP circuit, having taken fastest lap and 2nd position in the previous race, running well here in 6th. Down behind Dave Marshall, who he beats fairly and squarely in our 3rd race of the day. Coming up now into Stirling's Bend. Marshall busy chasing Tobin Lee, as you can see. And this is a superb view from Max Bird in 6th position. Senna Proctor's right behind him, and you can see that in the mirror. If you look at the graphics and the mirror, you can just see the top of Senna Proctor's car in 7th place. Busy trying to close down on him as we rejoin the cars from the outfield camera position, as it were, with Luke Kidsley on the outside line of Max Coates trying to get back into P2. He had his nose in front, but now Coates returns the compliment and takes that place. But we've got Tobin Lee, Dave Marshall closing up. Marshall goes for the lunge on the inside line of Tobin Lee. Great move by Marshall in blue. Let's see whether he's got it. The 66 car is through. Superb move by Dave Marshall and a classic move into Druid to grab 4th position from Tobin Lee.
I've got a feeling this race is going to build up into an absolute classic with a lot of action still to come over the next 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, this has been good. And Dave Marshall here, showing why he's champion. He's got no pressure. He's driven well. And to be fair, Marshall's never really looked as if he's had pressure on him all season. And that's the mark of a champion for me, one who can confidently come into the races and keep banging in the results. And he's done that all the time. And now any pressure there was is very definitely gone. And that move there on Tobin Lee was so well executed to get up into 4th position. He's now got to try and hunt down Luke Kidsley. The fastest lap of the race is Marshall, our outright champion. And he's got Luke Kidsley ahead of him, a multi-real world champion. And the one that I will single out, of course, the Formula Jedi Championship. Those incredibly quick little single-seaters that he won the championship in. And mark of respect that Luke Kidsley has in the real world, of course, the amount of drivers that he coaches who recognise his talent and respect his advice and his tutelage on circuit that they can give him, which is what he was doing last week, as he told us in his podium interview. But Rob Butler, though, still out front. Butler driving a stonker here, but keep your eyes on Senna Proctor, who's starting now to have a look at Max Bird, who's immediately in front of him. Max Bird also trying to get ahead of Tobin Lee. So Bird in the white and purple car has got the inside line there. Senna Proctor challenging him to the outside. Josh Martin comes up to join in as well in the green car number 8. And any one of these 8 could be in line for a podium and possibly even the win, as Dave Marshall goes wide now trying to deal with Max Coates.
Yeah, it looks like Dave Marshall's there just trying to make the point that actually sim races overall have had the upper hand this season, and he's trying to really push that onto Max Coates.
He's having a very good go indeed. So Coates again soaking up the pressure as he did to get his first win earlier on in the day. Butler still there from Kidsley. Coates 3rd, Marshall in 4th place. Off goes Senna Proctor. Sen goes off into the gravel, drops away from that lead group. That's a shame. Was looking forward to see Senna perhaps challenging for a podium, but he's still enjoying his racing and rejoins in 14th place. That's how close they are. Just for that one little off, he's been punished from 7th to 14th. So Max Bird now with a little less pressure in 6th place in the 44 car can concentrate on Tobin Lee immediately ahead of him. 7 minutes to go on this one. Butler and Kidsley still 1st and 2nd, and Kidsley is putting the pressure on the leader here, and he needs to do that because Coates is closing up again, and that'll put the pressure on Kidsley in P2.
Yeah, it's an incredible race for the top spot here between the 3 of them, and of course there's Dave Marshall just ready to pounce if anything goes wrong for any of them.
Oh, sideways moment, yeah, for Butler, who loses momentum. Butler's off the track.
With Dave Marshall, I think.
Marshall's off as well. Kidsley comes through the lead. Tobin Lee on the outside is up into P2. So Tobin Lee 2nd. Max Coates down to 3rd at the moment and has got the outside line. And now Tobin Lee is 2nd. Max Coates 3rd. Max Bird is in 4th place. Then Josh Martin in 5th. Someone will be saying, why didn't that happen to Dave Marshall earlier on in the season?
Yeah, a bit of an unfortunate one there for Dave Marshall, and it's actually brought, incredibly, Jack McIntyre into play for that silverware for the weekend. But they're pretty close to each other on track now. They
are, it is. That's a good call, actually. Yeah, they're going to be very tight on the point. So Luke Kidsley here, looking for a hat-trick. Yeah, good lead as well he's got at the moment. Looking for a hat-trick of wins in the championship, Luke Kidsley. Max Coates 2nd, and then Tobin Lee under big pressure from Max Bird. So let's watch the man from Sussex have a go. Looks down the inside line as they go into Dingledale, and he can't quite find a gap through on the inside line. Out of Sheen Curve, now down into Stirling's, piling the pressure on. Bird with no pressure immediately behind him at the moment. It's Josh Martin who is, let me see, Josh Martin just over a second down at the moment. Josh trying to close in. 5 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Kidsley here controlling things well. Max Coates will try and close in if he possibly can.
I think Max has got the pace to do it. He's already just nibbling away at that lead. I think if he can stay clear of the guys behind so he can have a clear run at Luke, then it's going to end up being a bit of a race to the flag between the 2 of those guys.
I agree with that. It's still Dave Marshall with fastest lap, and again Max Bird tries everything to try and get past Tobin Lee. Tobin would be maybe wise to the moves that could be made into Druid, because that's where Dave Marshall passed him earlier on. Max Bird runs wide. If this was for real, Dr. Palmer would be spitting nails at them, wouldn't he, churning up the grass there.
He would be sending them a bill for grass seed.
But they're racing superbly. 4 tenths, Kidsley to Coates. 8 tenths back, 9 tenths now to Tobin Lee in 3rd position. Max Bird is in 4th. Josh Martin still in 5th. Brian Elliott trying to close in with him. 2 of our interviewees over the course of the season, battling it out for 5th and 6th place. Jordan Brennan 7th. Isaac Smith in 8th place. Callum Newsham 9th. Tom Williams is in 10th position. So Tom having a good run. Could be on 4. He's joined 2nd best result here, Tom Williams. So working hard. Easy to overlook the drivers that are outside the top 10, but he's made good progress here. Was 6th in qualifying first time out, which was good to see. Beg your pardon, in Q2. Seems further go than that now. But it's Kidsley still out front from Coates, and Coates closing in again. So Luke Kidsley very much under pressure. It's 2 pairs, 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th, with 4 minutes to go.
As I said earlier, it's looking like it's brewing up to being a really exciting finish. Certainly lots of racing still to go on though.
It's still all to play for, isn't it? Kidsley under big pressure. This could bring the 3rd and 4th place cars into the mix as well. Josh Martin not that far behind. Ryan Elliott's only 3 tenths behind Josh Martin. So we've got another pair battling it out as Coates harries Luke Kidsley's number 8 car through Druids, down Graham Hill, into Graham Hill bend. Coates can take a nice wide line here, and if he gets extra speed, maybe tee up a move on the inside. Looking a little bit too far back to make moves as they go into Surtees, but he might be thinking Alain Prost style about a move that can, build momentum through 3 or 4 corners. And here they go onto the Grand Prix loop again. Kidsley soaking up the pressure well. I've got to say, the battle between 3rd and 4th, not really slowing each other up, but it's certainly hindering their ability to close down on the lead pairing. And Bird's still putting pressure on Tobin Lee. Josh Martin has closed up now, so 5th, closing up on 4th. Martin has a look at Bird, who makes one move, very slightly, jinks across to defend from Josh Martin. As the leaders in the distance, they'll be thinking they've got to get their skates on to try and close down on Kidsley and Coates. It's still Tobin Lee driving a mastering race in that 3rd position at the moment from Max Bird. So through they go, out of Stirling's and down towards Clearways once again. Kidsley, Coates, Lee, Bird, Martin, Elliott, Jordan Brennan 7th, Isaac Smith is in 8th place, a little way adrift of those, as now Max Bird finds the gap on the inside line and should be able to convert this into a podium. He's got his nose in front and has got the job complete as they go into Paddock Hill Bend. Max Bird up onto the podium, having waited so long for his first one, could be on his way to a second.
That was a great move, wasn't it? And
Coates challenging for the lead. Sorry to cut across you there, Anthony, but Max Coates finds a gap as well on the inside line of Luke Kidsley. Max Coates through into the lead.
Well, lots of action in that few seconds, wasn't there? Yeah, don't worry about cutting across me, just pick up whatever the action is. But what a move again by Max Coates. It's the 2 Max's show really at the moment, isn't it?
It is. This has been a superb race again. 1 minute 45 to go now as Tobin Lee looks on the inside line of Max Bird as they go through Surtees, side by side. This is all going to be about momentum now from Tobin, but I don't think he can do it. Max Bird knew he'd got the car positioned well to get the momentum out of Surtees as they go. Down Pilgrim's Drop again. Josh Martin putting Tobin Lee under pressure. Ryan Elliott right behind as well. So Ryan Elliott in the mix here. This is the fight for the podium. Max Bird goes very wide, and that's going to allow Tobin Lee back into 3rd. Lee back in. So Bird's got all the work to do again. He's now got to fend off Josh Martin, who's right behind him as well. Superb stuff.
It's really all getting extremely exciting at the moment, and I can see that there's a real danger of another bit of physical contact going on, but let's hope it doesn't get too serious.
Bird running